Welcome, everybody. Welcome back once more with another edition of Worcester City Council Theater 3000. We're back in session. Bill's back in state. Mr. Miami is giving us a thumbs up. And wearing a Bucky's hat, wearing a cowboy shirt.
I got my cowboy. I'm Mr. Miami'd out.
Yeah, my camera doesn't do it.
No, it was only Bill's.
Bill uses his cool phone. You got
you look tan.
Bill, you look incredible.
I'm sunned up. I'm sunned out. I am dreading being back. I wish I could stay a Florida white trash beach bum for forever. Just drink margaritas all day. But it's just not the way. That's not the way of the world. So
it's a damn shame. I was really happy for you. We missed you,
nice,
but we were, but it's one of those things where, like, you're sad that your friend is gone, but you're happy for them that they got out.
Got out just in time. Jesus, yeah. Massachusetts fucking exploded. Right. Right when I left.
No, Bill, those aren't real zombies. Don't worry.
Shit.
It's just a TV show. Yeah.
Oh, damn. I have to delete my whole post that I was working on this week.
Whole War of the Worlds style.
Yeah. It was called Everyone Open Fire on Main Street right now. We need to put an end to this. We need to put an end to this before this gets out of control.
That is a post that would have grabbed Donna Gloria's attention even before the zombie outbreak.
It's like, I know, I've been trying to get him out of the library.
100%. Yes. But it's good to have you back. We're happy to be here. We're happy that the city council is back in session. Hope everybody had a great Passover. Hope all the counselors had a great break. We didn't take a break. Some of us were celebrating with our community on Twitch. I'll have you know. But there's a pretty long, a decently long agenda tonight, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because
there
of all the backup.
This is gonna be pain. Yeah. Would it surprise you to learn that we'll be talking about the rental registry again for the 5th or 6th time now? Mm-hmm. We have an order from George Russell on the rental registries, trying to make it worse and less effective, including giving landlords the ability to hire their own inspectors, which is
that's
just the worst, the dumbest idea.
Yeah. Hi, I would like to double dip and also not have you actually pass an inspection, please.
Right. Here's the agenda, everyone, throwing it in the chat. But
also, if again, we've been doing this the last few weeks, so we have a phone number. If you want to call in, leave a message. We will play on the air, and we'll if you have a question, comment, concern, anything you like, please give us a call. We will get it on the air. We're way more into public comments than the city council is, so
that's true. That's very true.
There's something though separate from the city council agenda that I wanted to talk about a little bit before we get started tonight. I'm sure people may have heard about this, and before we even get into it, Bill, what do you think about we're talking about alleged things, we're talking about allegations, we're not saying anything specific, but I think we should speak plainly about who's involved.
They made it public on Instagram, so I don't see that there's any reason why we'd have to step around that. But
right, and I don't want to disrespect those posts by not
right. Yeah.
So in the last day or two, Shay, somebody people might know from around the city, made some posts on Instagram stories about how Shay's here. Okay, thank you, Shay. thank you very much. And we'll try and, speak as get in all the details that we can. And again, while saying this is alleged, at least from our point of view, so that we can avoid any legal implications.
Yeah, right.
They posted on Instagram an allegation of rape against Shaun Woods, the owner of Sundown, former dive. Obviously, everyone here is in total agreement that we 100% believe you, and don't, and are very disappointed that this doesn't sound like this is the only allegation.
Yeah, that's totally safe and
Is out there and will come out.
Non-actionable to say that that it's very likely that this is not the only incident.
Right. And again, as Camber is saying right there, we so appreciate you making the post and putting out there publicly, and apologize for you for having to do that and for having to right. And again, yes, and that's why we're going to try and keep it to this, just to speak about the larger issue. Now we have obviously done events there in the past, and I think I can say
wall.
But after our in November, we did for the show specifically, we did our election night coverage there. After that, we did get a message alluding to that there was something out there. Rumors, really didn't get into more specifics than that, but essentially saying like, hey, there's some bad stuff and you guys might want to not have done that work there. And we agreed, and we haven't, and we won't. Obviously we wouldn't, but we want to apologize, at least for our part, for not knowing, and for partially too, like not being really able, being in a position to say anything about it at the time. Obviously these are tricky situations, and not only just not even speaking from a legal standpoint or anything like that, just about speaking on other people's stories and not putting things out when they don't feel comfortable or feel safe. And we 100% understand that and agree that these are very, very impossible situations. But we want to say, at least for our part, that we are willing to listen and willing to help in any way that we possibly can. I know I'm not telling, I'm not speaking out of turn to say that Bill's put it on the line before in order to help somebody get their story out. And, we all feel the same way. And we aren't naive enough to think that that's the only consideration. Obviously we're not stupid enough to think that, just saying like, oh, we're safe is enough to say, or is even means much coming from a bunch of straight white men. But if you know us, if you trust us, and you need help with anything of the ilk or anything like that, if there's any story that you feel the need to speak out about, or we can do anything to help out with, we're here, and we will support you in any way that you want us to, in any way that we can. And it's not, again, it's heartbreaking how much this isn't the only time we've heard things about not only this person but other people. And it's a hard position for everyone to be in, again, when we're talking about things that are awful and also really complicated to put out there in public. But if not just speaking about this, but if there's anything that we're in any position to help you with, or even just be some people that you can talk to about it, we're here to support you in any way we can. And we know that there are other community members that have rumors about them and things like that. And again, if you know us, if you trust us, and if you're looking for people to talk to, then offline, obviously, and separate from the show, we just want to make it clear that we are not, we're not going to deny you, and we're here to, we're here to do our part to support you. and
Right.
fuck creeps and fuck rapists, and we're clearly not worried about impressing anybody or being scared about our position or any popularity contest bullshit like that. We're not fucking around. We're serious about this stuff, and we want to help more than we hurt, and we'll do what we can.
Yeah, and Shay, I think that taking the action to come forward publicly in the way that you did is something that's takes a tremendous amount of bravery, and it has been, as far as I can tell from my social circles and just paying attention to Worcester, it's landed really well, and people have really appreciated it. And when someone is out there in your community that is whatever legal disclaimer needed, allegedly blah blah blah, dangerous, it's important for people to know that,
Right.
because short of knowing that, you can't expect to it's really important and good for people to know things like that. So it's a tremendously brave thing to do, and it is not rewarded or encouraged in our culture. And that's, a symptom of so many shitty things about the world we live in. But and I will say that I am, as a journalist or whatever, I'm looking into and would love to hear from anybody else who might have something to share about this, completely confidential fashion, and off the record, all of that. I just want to, follow the lead that Shay put down and see what there is to see. When I did Heather's story last year, that took months and months and months, honestly, a couple of years to do. So I'm not, looking at a big story anytime soon, but I really would like to try to get all of the information I can. So hit me on Twitter, Instagram. Here, my email is mr.miami@gmail. No, I'm just kidding. It's billshaner91@gmail.com, and happy to talk to whoever.
And again, I want to say, aside from the show part and all that, and the journalism part and all that, just as like a group of friends that care about a lot of people in the city, that know other people that have worked there, and have heard things not only about this but about other things, other people throughout the city. First of all, there's nothing to blow back on you. I know that the reality of the situation is people are going to treat you how in terrible ways, and that, like Camber said, there are so few benefits to disclosing. But a lot of that, I think, has to do with the fact that so often the people that aren't in danger of being predated on in situations like this are the ones that allow it to keep happening, because we don't hold other people to account. That those of us that are in a privileged position when it comes to things like this. Shaun Woods is allegedly never going to try and victimize Bryan O'Donnell. But if so often in a situation like that, where I hear, somebody like me hears something about somebody that I have whatever, professional relationship with, it's easier not to hold them to account, or easier not to talk about it, or easier just to pretend that, oh, you didn't hear about it or anything like that. But the fact of the matter is that the more people that are not in danger, that can hold other people in their same, whatever category to account, then the easier it gets on the people that feel the need to speak up or have something to say or anything like that. So just again, want to reiterate that we don't expect it. We know that there's a million reasons to not put yourself out there like that. But if you do and you need support, then we got your back.
And it's incumbent on all of us that when somebody takes that, tremendously brave step, that they feel supported. And, when you make it known that you support somebody for what they're doing, that it means that's not nothing. So, it's better to say so than to not, and even better to say so publicly.
Right. Yeah. And again, like, yes, public is best, but even if it's the case of like telling your other friends about what you heard about this person that you all deal with, is important to get that information around at the very least. At the very least, you need to tell people what you heard. I'm saying, speaking for us and people, in like our friends and things like that, we need to protect our friends. We need to protect people in this community, and the legal system is fucked and policing is fucked, but
yeah,
there needs to be, we need to do something. And if at the very least, then we need to speak openly about these things when they come up. And again, thank you, Shay, for saying what you did, and any way that we can support, we're here for you.
Yeah, I haven't chimed in much. The meeting's just about to start, but I want to recognize that my name's on the wall. I run a network called the No Jerks Network. Like, this is completely everything against what I believe in, and I want to do whatever I can to help y'all. Thank you, Shay, for stepping forward. And I'm sorry you have to deal with this, but yeah, let's have a great community.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's be miserable. 2 hours by.
Now it's time for our weekly dose of punishment, folks.
Has declared May as Bay State Bike Month. Whereas bicycling is an important low-carbon way to move around the community.
When was the last time Joe Petty rode a bike? What do we think?
You guys hate
bicycling has shown to improve health, well-being, and quality of life,
grow
the economy, attract tourism dollars, and increase local business spending, and reduce pollution, congestion, and parking costs. And whereas May 13th and the 19th, 2024 is Bike Week,
What's up, Molly?
And May 17th, 2024 is National Bike to Work Day.
Speaking of Molly, the next Worcester Commoners Union Local 69 Book Club is on
Public Library,
May 23rd, Thursday, May 23rd.
Former courthouse, the annual George Street Bike Challenge.
And I have
whereas the city is taking important
little post up in the chat with more information on that.
And sustainable transportation system.
First one went so good. Second one's going to be even better.
All ages and abilities.
This time, we're going to open it up at 6 p.m. to have a little coffee hour at Cordella's Coffee before we get into the actual booking
of Worcester, hereby proclaim May 2024 as Bike Month. And the city of Worcester encourage all residents to join me.
I know how to speak words. Good.
We have
you learn. You get a little better every time.
Warren.
We're up in the 69 tonight.
Nathan Lewis. Is it Wickenberry?
WCT3K.Storenvy.com for all your t-shirt needs.
Councilor Pacello, you want to hand them the proclamation?
Jenny hates bikes.
So I'm Karen Dell, Walk Bike Worcester, and I just want to say
she
thank
hates
you
them.
For this.
She won't let her kids ride bikes.
Speaking of cops,
we're doing events for Bike Month. We have
yesterday the Human Rights Commission had its annual meeting with the Worcester Police brass, and it was something else. It's way too much to get into right now, but organizing different events. And a lot of interesting stuff came up related to ShotSpotter, the city's homelessness policy, the fact that the police department or the city doesn't have any translators, like no translators on staff. And the police literally just rely on people on the scene
and
to
that's
translate
the
for them.
right, the
Yeah.
e-bikers.
And
Yeah, no, thank
the
you, Mayor Petty, for making this
plainclothes
opportunity.
police
I
officers
can
sewing
join the
thin blue
city,
line
and,
flag
I want to see a lot more work
patches
done
onto their
in
clothes
that
came
regard.
up,
Thank you.
and Saucier had to speak to that and defend it.
Good evening. My name is
And
Alice Salcedo. I'm
that
with the
was
Massachusetts Bicycle Coalition,
something
Lost
else.
Bike. I wanted to
What?
thank the mayor for.
It's also just like
declaring May
bad,
as
like
Bike
bad
Month.
strategy. Like,
I just want to
who
say
else would
Right.
have that on their
biking
clothing?
is health.
I think
Biking
he
is
like
fun.
messed up where he was
Biking
in his
is
argument, but
clean,
at one
and
point
biking
he
help us save
very
money.
clearly and publicly said
So
that
if any of those topics relate
it
to
helps
you,
the cops
I
not
think
get
you should
made
bike.
if they're
So
undercover
we invite all of
in
you
the
to the
community.
events. This is definitely an
Which
effort of
I don't know.
7 organizations that have worked together.
Camber, there
since
is
the
a
beginning of the
recording.
year.
Let me grab it.
So join us. You will have fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
So yeah, my I have a post for tomorrow, but then I'm gonna have one on Sunday that's getting into all of the stuff from the Human Rights Commission because I want to give myself some time to dig through that.
I also lead beginner rides for Wheelman.
What was I looking up? Oh yeah.
Molly, this is a
I'm Dan
judgment-free
Wickenberry,
question, but
the better half.
do you really
And,
not know how to ride a bike?
yeah,
That's
thank
awesome
you
that you're
to
going
the
to learn this
City
summer,
Council.
but
Thank
I didn't know if
to
you were
the
just
mayor.
trying to be
Thank you
funny.
the city for the work you are doing on behalf of the Worcester.
Do we want to get like a
all the
like a
organizations that
5-person
work-
bike
put on events.
and just
in the
have a
month of
show like bike ride
Oh,
where we all ride
bet your
together and
ass.
scream?
Thank you for everything the city's doing to make cycling, walking.
Can we get one of those like
better
things
for
you see in the city
Thank you.
where you like they
Thank
all
you.
pedal together?
Joy, and I'm glad you have a non-biking event on May 15th, the breakfast, if people want to go to that one. And also, there's a number of biking events. and
Oh, you
we
guys
can
should
share that
totally
with
learn to ride a
everybody.
bike. I love riding a bike.
Thank you.
You're never too old to learn.
Yenny's a New York City kid though. Yenny's a stoop
First
kid.
on the business, motion
Stoop
to
kid
adopt
never leaves the stoop.
Minutes. Those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Public participation, a person may speak for no more than 2 minutes on AM period
That's
on
awesome.
the agenda.
That's not awesome
name
that
for
her
your
bike's
residence
got
item number?
stolen.
Yes, Fred Nathan, Worcester. So I want to take up a 9A.
Fred Nathan,
I'm
I've
sorry,
missed him.
A 9Q, Michael Grandone's item about that they really should have had public hearings prior to trying to implement.
Oh yeah, I have
So happy.
The CPA.
I have Brendan's
Act, taxes since there is
stickers that
money
he made.
involved.
Stickers.
Right next to
People
me,
gonna have
actually.
spend
One
more
sec.
money in the taxes. I really think it should have gone to a public hearing. You guys are going to do whatever you're going to do anyway, so it is what it is.
What a douche.
What did he say?
10.4.
You guys are going to
You guys
do
are-
whatever you're going to do. So it is what it is.
Whenever you have the TIF
So
agreement,
sassy.
it would
What a
be nice
dick.
to
These
know
are magnets, actually,
What?
not stickers.
Yeah,
is
hell yeah.
involved
I
in
need one of
terms
those.
How much money? All
And,
we hear is TIF.
I should,
TIF.
You know what?
You know, we never
We
actually
fucked.
hear how much
We should have
money-
put some of those down on set.
Yeah, no,
That would have been great.
Oh yeah! Wow! Wow! Yeah.
Just
Little
throw them
Easter
on
egg.
the picture cards as we're going by.
Wrong page.
That probably wouldn't come back to me.
This kind of caught my
No.
eye. And it was designed
I
in such a
loved-
way that people would just go
Of
on
all the
over.
Walking Dead things, the best one was like
10.38A.
the New York City subway
I didn't
entrance.
hear any discussion. Anybody
And everyone's
saying
like,
anything about
"Oh
nothing.
wow, neat!" And it's like, "Oh wow,
Okay.
imagine if we lived in a
Things you
real
can sit in
city."
there, try to
It's like,
dress it
imagine
up,
if
make it
Worcester was a
all-
real
you'll have a little
city,
dog and
yeah,
pony
with
show.
like public
It'd be nice to know
transportation.
exactly specifically what it's going for. It doesn't really
Bring
say
back the
very
trolleys,
much. It
folks.
just
Bring
says
them
what
back.
it is about
And like public trash
um,
bans.
with projects and capital equipment.
Well, everywhere we go,
$86
when
million,
they do set dressing
seriously?
outdoors, they
And
always
just
put out,
as I
public trash
leave the
bins,
mic here,
and it's
that's
always
the
so
city
funny how
manager.
that it blows people's minds that you would have public trash.
I don't know how
bins.
much of a contract you're going to give to cable. I just hope you don't give them 10 years.
What do you mean? I just don't throw my garbage on the ground?
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak? Is your name, city residence, and item number?
I don't have.
Yeah,
it, city
12F
I
is
agree
George
with
Russell's
Mr.
Right.
does
item on the rental registry.
a little bit more
And
information.
I think that's
so that
going
we
to
can
be a
have
pretty close split vote,
all of
actually.
the
So
items
calling
on
in
the agenda, I think.
is a good idea
In regards to the
for what it's worth. You know, it's not like
inspections,
any of the city councilors are listening right now.
Breaking
I
news.
do that
Brendan
the
and I
fines
saw
are
Idella
absolutely
in real life
outrageous,
the other day.
the fines.
Dude, that's so
And
sick.
then
It
I
was
think that
so
the
awesome.
violation of people's privacy.
She walked right by us. We were standing on the street corner, and she walked up and she put mail in a
Inspections
mailbox,
have always
and we both
been-
froze. We were so
Somebody called
starstruck.
and said, you know, my landlord's not doing anything, and
You know, we
something
should,
going on, and if you can send an
if we
inspector
can
out to
figure out how, we should have
And
like a
evaluate.
2-hour sit down interview with Idella Hazard.
Inspector
No
out,
questions.
if it were
No.
something that needed to be addressed.
She is driving
Had
the bus.
situations where
You know, we're sitting there. She gets to bring up whatever she wants.
suddenly there were
And we are completely amenable and agreeable to any position that she has. She just gets to talk about whatever the hell she wants for 2 hours.
Get by
And
range.
I think that would be the funnest
And
show
it's
we've
out-
ever had.
It would certainly be an act in
all the time across the board.
improv.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
suddenly, the
I mean, we wouldn't have to
landlords
say anything.
are going to have to pay these
She would
outrageous
absolutely fill the
fines.
time.
Oh,
They
yeah.
try to find
We
She had
we
so
just
much
have
to say.
we just have to go, whoa, that's crazy.
jobs
Right?
too big.
But in like in a non getting
Yeah.
punished way.
Well, that's
Like
crazy.
we actually think that's crazy.
I don't think.
Oh,
this has
wow.
been thought through.
That's a
Then
really good
there's a
idea.
Oh,
violation of
my God.
Privacy. They can come.
And you know what?
into
Both of
my
them,
building.
it would require finding them out in the world.
Can't even come
I
into
think,
my apartment
I find
to, like,
Fred all the
to
time
my
inadvertently, so
without a
I got
phone
him
call.
Just-
covered.
You just go to wrestling on
How
Thursday
is an
nights.
inspector
There you go.
able to
Sign
come
his
in and do
petition
all
with
that?
my telephone number.
Looking for something that may or may not
That would be
I,
awesome.
be there.
Go ahead, Travis.
I was going to
It's
change topic. I went to the
unconscionable.
library on
Thank you.
Friday night to do their mini golf, and I was telling Brian before the stream, Matt Wally
Is the
passed
name,
in front
say
of me,
residence, item
and
number?
they like had to double take because I'm like, why does that guy
Warren
look familiar, and why do I
rental
picture him in
inspections.
booty shorts?
I was unable to attend the last meeting, but as
Because
we-
truly,
I
my
reviewed
experience
it
with
on,
Matt Wally is
video,
this.
and city manager Eric Baptist
I don't even remember like
changed the
the
monetary fine. to
context.
That was
$200 a
early
month.
on.
I did some
Yeah,
more
I have
research.
no recollection
and
of
there's
like
some case
what
law.
prompted that.
Schenkloff versus
I will never
Bustamante.
delete it.
As it's clearly a product of coercion, property owner cannot be regarded as having voluntarily given up his consent to a search.
Oh,
for price he must
okay.
pay to enjoy his rights under the Constitution.
I got to DM Marco.
It's effective deprivation of economic.
He's got a flex for the
violence
camera.
rental property.
Yeah, tell Marco
Also in
I love
Sokolov
that shirt.
versus the village of Freeport, the city of the
That mint
village of Freeport
greens.
enhanced a rental
Looks
ordinance
great on him.
Wait,
which
his laptop's
required
sitting
landlords to
normally.
obtain rental permits prior to leasing any part of their
It's not doing the
residential
crazy
I'm
Marco
saying
move.
first of all, we love the shirt.
Constitutional.
Second of all,
I believe these two decisions are similar
Give us
to
a flex.
property rental inspection fine or fee.
Tell him it's got to be
last
two
time
bicep flex though.
researched it. He saw that the
We
municipalities.
gotta
of
up the
Washington-
game.
Oh,
I think you need to keep this simple. Tax bills go out every quarter.
whoa, what's going
Why can't
on?
we just put name of person being billed, emergency.
I'm
person
still here. I just
contact,
turned off my camera.
Name, address. phone
Oh,
number.
okay. I thought I was all alone. I
The
got
city of
really
Boston
nervous.
Also has a consent form to waive their constitutional rights to do a consent search of a building. Maybe that's something the city should look into
No,
doing.
stupid Spectrum internet.
If the homeowner agrees to an inspection.
We can't talk about it. It's not,
then
not
you
on the
send
agenda
them a
tonight.
bill for the fee for the inspection. That's all. Thank you for your cooperation.
Yeah, that's I've been dragging ass on reading all of the articles about how Eric Batista isn't going to listen to the cable advisory commission.
I love
Because
I love how openly people are speculating that he's getting kickbacks.
yeah, that's the best. Where we're all just like that. You know, they got good lobbyists. Yeah, that's
We only
That's
have
it.
2 tenants. We have one that is Section 8. He gets
Marco's
inspected
looking
every
for
single
himself in
year.
on the
And
screen.
the only problem we usually have with
He's
that
just
is because of the
it's
smoke
time to
detector.
flex,
It's
Marco.
not a landlord's issue.
Marco, it's time to
Tenant
flex.
takes
That's
it
not a
out whenever
flex.
there's anything.
That is not a
Places
flex.
constantly.
We're gonna need
So for
full.
landlord
I
to
don't.
find
Yeah.
out what a tenant does
That's
no.
no.
To me is ridiculous.
Hey, tell him. Ask him which way to Muscle Beach.
Absolutely incredible.
As some of these other people have told.
No, I don't think that's a flex. Oh no, wait. He saw it. He saw the message.
How to have something in your yard, what you should or shouldn't do. I mean, that is just insane. There's also been a couple of towns over, did a few research where they're having a problem selling.
You did a
their
few
homes
research. That's great.
because
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a few
inspectional
research.
services, electrical.
That's a
plumbing,
very
whatever,
the few research poll is
now have to go
very
into the home
prestigious.
before you can sell the home.
You know, I hope Patel really rips into this one tonight. Oh, he did it?
No, he's doing fighting poses. He's not doing flexing. Tell him boxing poses are not flexing.
Or a handyman. Now, the handyman that put the sink in, it's no good. Well, the handyman that comes in and does some electrical work or fixes a plug or changes outlets or a light switch, I get there's reasons for inspection.
This reminds me. I stumbled upon the most Massachusetts sentence that you can say.
She takes it out.
In any Massachusetts regional dialect, it
We
works.
put everything in there.
And it
I'm
goes,
just thinking,
the market basket is a freaking parking lot.
Looked at as far as who's going to decide what is right.
I went to the market basket. It was a freaking parking lot.
Over a sink or an electrical issue.
The market basket was a freaking parking lot.
I mean, I think the electrical inspectors and plumbing inspectors have enough to do with the city.
You can imagine, you know, a Kennedy saying that.
There's plenty of
as much as you can imagine.
Fire hazards.
Yeah. As much as you can imagine, your Mr. Court date in Chicopee saying that.
Designated as just those projects that should be taken care of, and not going into everybody's home and trying to invade everybody's privacy. Nobody wants to come in and get out of your underwear drawer and say, you know, you can't have this, you can't have that. You're too clean. You're too. Who are you to determine that? You can't have.
That's not what they're determining. They're following the state sanitary code. It's so stupid. People in the city are so fucking unbelievably stupid.
I guarantee you, he does not live in this city. He owns rental properties. He does not live in this city.
And I'm like, I'm not. I mean,
cut him off, Joe. It's been going on for 7 minutes.
Listen, man, sell your properties.
You get that little paper saying you're going to be fined if you do not. What do I want to say? If you do not.
How long has he been speaking?
What we're told, you're going to give me a fine. You're going to come into my house and give us a fine, or tell us whether or not that sink was put in by.
God, I tell you one thing.
Listen, you're gonna sit here and you're gonna pull the car over. You're gonna tell me I can drive 95 miles an hour. You're gonna tell me how fast I can drive my own car.
You can put your own electrical stuff in.
You're gonna tell me I gotta drive past the Technic Country Club into Worcester to let these inspectors into my rental properties?
Demand financial.
I gotta go further down 122 than that.
Or how to live is absurd.
Thank you.
If you want to clean up the city,
can you wrap up your comments?
Go for them.
No,
okay,
let him.
No,
I really wanted to hear what he was going to say. I really wanted to hear his ways to clean up the city.
Okay. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Just as a general rule, this is a Worcester City Council 3000.
That's it.
Universal rule. When somebody says you want to know how to really clean up this city, what follows will 100 out of 100 times be
registry is certainly a good thing.
Bingo.
Like
bingo.
The follow-up, the invasion of privacy, anyways, I think it would be intelligent to make it free, especially if it's mandatory, partially for the reasons listed.
I can't wait for
Most
Mr. Webb here to get a
strongly
new
support of item 11A, requesting that Eric request Christopher Spencer provide City Council with a report of departmental practices. I don't see why anyone thinks a database will resolve existing management and training issues. The actual reason Gage Street and many issues happened isn't lack of awareness or lack of contact information. It's lack of responsibility and poor management in the Department of Inspectional Services. Getting in a place every 5 years doesn't change that. It just generates more work. That being said, I'm not in a position to hit on Worcester too hard right now. Yesterday, a coordinated effort between the Worcester Police and Fire Departments, as well as code enforcement, shut down a nightclub operating out of my building. So that brings me back to my original objection to the whole thing. This wouldn't be necessary if the city had interdepartmental communication, if the city actually listened to its renters or landlords. Regarding items 11B through G, I am in support of them because clarity
What was running a nightclub
is important. I'm not actually against the registry, but despite having 2 years to discuss, plan, and prepare, it doesn't seem to have been well implemented, communicated, or thought out. This is a result of management issues, not the solution.
Yeah, this is such a crazy, poorly thought out idea that literally every other city in the country does.
Thank you, Mayor. First speaker
Such a
identified
crazy
Eric
idea.
Stratton. I'm trying to meet the resident now.
Eric.
So fucking annoying.
Yes, hi. My name is Eric Stratton. I am calling in regards to, I believe it is 12G. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's not 12G. It is the item regarding the CPA 9Q. This is frankly absurd. The request that's been made is addressing issues regarding the viability of a tax being discriminatory due to real estate owners being the ones who are targeted. It seems clear that the person who's written this does not understand how all taxes work. Property taxes tax property, income taxes tax income. The CPA is a huge benefit, and I think will provide a huge benefit to the city of Worcester. It is a really smart tool that will allow us to
9Q, what he's talking about, Michael Grandoni,
fund things that we desperately need.
says that it's discriminatory due to the real estate owners being the only ones paying into said tax.
Something this city is in desperate need of. I would urge the council to file this item and not to entertain these ridiculous comments regarding it not being allowable. As of right now, I believe something like 70% of all Massachusetts residents live in a community, and something like 190 or 200
Epic
cities and
baby
towns
wheel
adopt
Stratton.
CPAs statewide. Clearly, this passes legal muster. So please don't entertain this, and I urge you to file this item. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Good luck. Yeah, well, Eric, nice job. But also, you're in luck. They file every single citizen.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can, go ahead.
Okay. I'm Yenny DeRoche. I'm in Worcester. And I have a
Yenny.
couple of quick comments and then a longer one.
Go, Will.
The,
Sorry.
9Q, as Eric just mentioned, that's how property taxes work.
Eric,
I really hope it just gets
check up in the
dismissed.
comments. Yenny calls you Wheel.
For
I think
1030A,
that
I'm
might just
really
be
looking
my
forward to
nickname
seeing
for
this
you.
document get dived into
No
potentially in
Wheel.
committee. There's a lot of information here that would be really useful to talk about in deeper context. And 12A and G, I really look forward to seeing that information. In addition to that, there's this rental registry issue. I've called in before related to it. I am a landlord. I come from a family of landlords. And to me, seeing what people are saying against the registry makes me question their ability to be a landlord, because code is code. Landlords are responsible and finable regardless of this registry.
Unfortunately,
existing.
there's no
A tenant can
graduate or
call
advanced
in
degree for
to have you
landlord
inspected
studies.
at any time. It is not
I didn't know
something
Yenny was
that
a
is
Nepo
changing
landlord
that. It
baby.
is just making it a requirement to be proactive rather than reactive, which protects tenants. I also wanted to mention the fact that there is absolutely no reason to have the dwelling size to weaken the who would get inspected. I am a person with 2 units. I have the unit I live in and 2 above me. I do not have to pay the fee because that is built into the system already. I don't think that removing it for small landlords is helpful to tenants. It makes absolutely no sense to protect people at big properties, but not at small properties. And I think that the addition of allowing outside inspectors would also just create massive chaos.
So one of the interesting things on this agenda
runs into the same problem we have with the
is
sheriffs,
this report I'm
where
putting
we
in
have
here.
sheriffs who are not licensed and being given things. We don't want to have
About
to go
all
into
of the
having to
properties in
license
Worcester owned
outside
by vague
inspectors.
LLC
It
names.
would just be.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
It's just a spreadsheet of like, literally, it's like above board. Like,
Resident now, please state your name, city of residence, and the item you.
I don't know. You shouldn't be able to make an LLC for every single home you own.
Good evening, Council. Jack
very
Chadwell here.
It has a lot of nice job, Yanni. Yeah, a lot of white collar crime shades on it. If you're creating a new separate LLC
items
for every
10.5 and 10.6
rental property you
on
have.
the agenda, the diversity.
If you ever want to
equity,
find out who the
inclusion
actual owner
initiative.
is, this is a trick that I
I'm
use
here
for
to
work,
inform
and
you
you can
that
just
you are in
doesn't necessarily
violation of
apply,
Title
but you can
6
just
and
use
7
it.
of the Civil Rights Act of 1960.
Wait, Cambridge.
Oh, wait.
This one. We don't.
Stumped him.
Okay.
He stumped Petty.
Yeah, well, that's not on the calendar tonight, so we're not going to discuss that.
Mr. Mayor, the next speaker. Is
Dang, what was it?
Very.
Talking about the Civil Rights Act?
Now.
Oh boy.
Yeah, family of landlords is a
Good
very,
evening. My
very,
name is
very
Jared
good
Dahl.
phrase, Yanni.
I'm a resident of Worcester. I wanted to speak on the agenda item that covers how the Holocaust didn't happen.
Oh, get out of here,
These-
dude! We're getting
these fucking dorks again.
We're getting these fucking
That
dorks.
is public participation.
That would be crazy if that was an item on the agenda, though. I'd be
Okay.
really interested to call in about
We
that.
have all set.
Okay,
Hearings and orders.
so for those of you
Motion
who
to
might be
close the hearing.
confused about
Those in
what's
favor,
going on
opposed, so
here,
reported. Motions to adopt.
Worcester
National
is
Grid
one of
Foundation at
many communities around the
Fremont Street
country
and
that are
Worcester
getting
Anybody opposed to those items?
public participation bombed
opposed,
by
opposed to hearing
literal
to adopt.
neo-Nazis, the majority of
Those in
them
favor, opposed.
being out of Southern California,
Petition,
and
dated 18
they
for the planning
call
board.
themselves the City Council Death Squad with a totem comp logo. And it's
8K to 8Z, refer to
they use my name a lot in other
They do.
places.
They do use your name. Yeah, that's. I would want to call in and say that. I don't support this. Thank you. I could cede back the rest of my time.
9M, refer to Veteran Memorial Parks and Rec Committee. Those in favor, opposed, so.
Am I a ventriloquist?
9N and 9O, so the hearing for May 14th, 2024. Those in favor, opposed, so ordered.
Hell yeah, Yanni.
9P.
Worcester, having looked at how other communities handle getting Nazi bombed like this, Worcester does a very good job of it.
Yeah.
In other places, they can, sort of seize the floor for like 15, 20 minutes.
Right. And
It
I will,
becomes
yeah, the first day it happened, Nico got caught off guard by it. And ever since then has been like perfect. He's been perfect at it.
Yeah.
Only one paying said tax.
I say that every time I see the mayor. I walk up to him. Hi, Mr. Petty. I just wanted to say I do not support racism. And then just wait to see what he says. What would the collective noun for landlords be? A scum of landlords. Not Yanni, not all landlords.
Worcester Development Authority and transmitting information communication.
What would the color of the line be for the Landlord Lives Matter flag? Would it be that sort of beige white that they paint over every light switch with?
Yeah, it would be exactly. It would be slightly painted over the other lines on the flag.
A scrounge of landlords.
Scrounge is pretty good. Yeah.
To the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board of Trustees. B, recommending appointment.
And there'd be a
Jamie
cockroach
Dillon,
painted in under it.
Development Advisory Committee. And C, recommending appointments of James OS and Kyle Orr to the Commission of Preservation of Historic Artifacts, Relics, and Military
What the
Memorials.
hell?
Collectively
That's
on a roll
adorable.
call. Roll call.
Council Bergman? Yes. Council Calorio?
Yes.
Council Agia?
Yes.
Council
You know you're in a pickle when you confront a prickle of porcupines.
Yes.
Council Ojeda? Yes. Council Basillo?
Yes.
That's actually how they got the name. There was just a drunk guy who ran across a bunch of porcupines. And he went, "Oh God, I'm on a prickle."
We're a real prickle here.
Agreement for the David Clark Company. I'm gonna send that.
This
to
one
Economic
can't be
Development.
true. This I
Those in
refuse to
favor,
believe.
opposed, so
Is it?
ordered.
Ferrets are in no
10.7A,
way, shape, or
just
form
information
business.
communication routes, the pothole repairs and litter issues throughout the city of Worcester.
Oh great! Here we fucking go talking about potholes. This is awesome.
Council Russell.
Forgot my name there, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, is this going to be another George Russell show? I can't fucking take it.
Mr. Chairman.
This is a big George Russell
these
night.
items I'd like to thank the administration.
I hate George Russell nights. They're like one of my least favorite nights. Behind Candy Barrel Carlson nights. Those are the worst.
Mr. Chairman, if I may direct the question. What's up with this?
No, don't zoom in. We're not getting enough Georgeception.
Basically, a list of
God, come on.
Put him in the bottom right corner. We want his head in the bottom right corner. We want mostly Georgeception.
Because the streets are still a mess, in my opinion. And this is a list of what's been done.
If he dresses exactly like Magnum PI, cut off jean shorts, Detroit Tigers hat, Hawaiian shirt,
in the future,
jumps out of a
in
Ferrari.
the summer, which are all good events. But what are we doing different to deal with litter? What are we doing in our urban neighborhoods to deal with litter?
Oh, please,
What are we
George,
doing
don't
different to deal with
pretend
these
like you care
potholes
about our
that
urban
we'd all
neighborhoods.
have to be blind not to see. We sit at the table at the Public Works Committee meeting, and we talked to the assistant commissioner that's been at that meeting for the last few months. When we, by the way, a meeting that I'm happy to report received a commitment from the utility companies to go back 5 years to correct the trenches that have sunken in. That's a major get for that committee. My colleagues, Councilor Priscilla and Councilor Merrill Carlson, and myself, when we asked the utility companies to come in, and they actually conceded.
I pick Woo litter very well. Just want to apologize for all the trash that is being put out on the streets as part of set decoration for the television show.
The assistant commissioners told us many times.
I promise they're going to pick it up. They need it at the next set, so they're gonna clean it up.
And be proactive.
But I understand it can be distressing to see.
And I'm surprised to find out that the complaints are actually.
It's just hit me in a new way, I guess, after taking a couple weeks off.
Especially on litter.
How much of these meetings are literally just these fucking boomers venting about the fact that they live in the city?
Multiple reports that we try to submit to
They're so mad.
It's just a collective fucking grieving process with the fact that they have to live in the city. And it's like, I get it. You inherited your home and you can't afford a new mortgage. So you're stuck here. You know what? You know what's going to fix that? More density, more housing. Then you might finally be able to leave. But until then, you're going to live in a place with potholes and garbage. I'm sorry. You just are.
Items as quickly as possible to give them information.
Yeah.
So we're trying to provide some information, but at the same time trying to plan.
Oh, hell yeah. That rules.
The overall aspects of how to deal with litter. And so we are working on a master plan. There's a bid out there right now to do a zero waste master plan that will look at comprehensively.
If I was Eric Batista, speaking of this Batista seems agitated comment, I don't know how he's still doing this. I would have quit already. I mean,
he should quit.
He should just quit.
I mean, to the corner of
Eric,
the street, so we can be able to go in and street sweep the neighborhoods. We're also going to be launching more work with the quality of life.
An entitlement of boomers. I think you nailed it, Shan, the first try. No notes. Entitlement of boomers.
And so there's a number of components where right now.
I went down to Key West last week, and I saw an entitlement of boomers in the wild.
Big Bully or
oh my God! I gotta.
Like that. We're looking at that.
I nobody's listening to this bullshit, right? I can take a little detour here.
We've been discussing. We've been trying to work at it. But again, we're trying to provide as much information as we can on what we're currently doing.
I gotta load this into the back end, but Katie's dad
to address litter
got the fucking best picture of a motorcycle man and a local cyclist fighting in the street.
Oh, yes.
It is
in the winter,
there
was an issue with the winter mix that was being provided for asphalt to repair potholes. A lot of that mix is breaking up and it's creating more issues on the potholes that were fixed during the winter months. So we've had to go back and address them. There was a report that we submitted probably a couple of weeks back that was returned back to the administration for further information that included a pavement management strategy that we're going to.
I saw Ron Jeremy on the Sunset Strip in 2009.
And addressing
that's pretty sick.
But also
at the Rainbow actually.
More strategic approach.
Was he hanging dong?
No, thank
I
God.
apologize for my tone.
All right,
You
I
know,
got this picture loaded up. Look at
It's
this.
very frustrating. It really is. I mean, I
Dude,
walked into the.
so
I said
freaking
this a
good.
few minutes ago at
You got
Public Works meeting. I
the
walked
wife
into
in the back of the Harley here with the American flag, and you got this Hawaiian shirt motorcycle man getting punched
Wait,
right
I'm
in
not
the
seeing
face. Oh, you're not seeing it? Oh man,
I mean, it's.
Hold on, let me
isn't it? It's an overlay, right? Is what I do.
And I
Or
really feel that we have.
It's
oh no,
because
it's
of
not an
the-
overlay.
I think that the.
It's because of our
Whatever.
layout right now. I think.
Administration needs to
Whatever,
have
I'll
people
show it later. Who cares?
driving around, making notes of which
Hold on.
potholes need to be
Here we
done.
go.
When
Oh my
potholes are
God.
repaired, they need to be
Yeah.
cut and correct.
And you'll notice right to the right of the bicycle of the motorcycle is the guy's bicycle dumped in a puddle. He had a little milk cart on the back full of clothes, and all of the clothes got dumped right in the puddle. And the motorcycle man didn't help
Extremely
pick up
rude.
his clothes. They just
They
just drove away on that big Harley touring bike.
And we really
That's
need to
extremely
make an
rude.
extra effort. In
Yeah,
our
I noticed a
neighborhoods
lot
that
of
have such a litter problem.
locals versus
And
boomer
we're not
tourist
We're
tensions
not
when
going to
I
cure
was
that
down there.
problem with a
Yeah.
study. We're not going to cure that
Another
problem with,
fun one.
Some person at a desk somewhere on Albany Street or in this
Another fun
building.
one
We're gonna
was
cure that problem by
on
people getting
the
out
main
into the-
strip. It's
and
called
actually
Duval Street.
doing
There's like a
things
bunch of
like
open air
linking up
bars
with
with
our
like
staff,
acoustic guitar guys
on the streets,
that all play
because
a Jimmy
it's,
Buffett song
you know,
once
we
an
need to
hour.
do
I think
something,
as part of their
some outreach
contract.
to those urban neighborhoods.
And
The trash system
this
is
guy
like
was
that.
playing in
They're
like a
not getting out
completely
there.
empty bar with
There's
like
not a problem in
3
a
people
suburban
at the
neighborhood
bar.
like the neighborhood I'm lucky
And
enough
one
to
of them
live in.
shouted out a
There is
request.
big problem though in our urban neighborhood.
And
I
he just
really feel
points
like
at her
we're
and
not
goes, "Woohoo! 3 for 3.
Thank you, Mr.
I already told you. One more request, and I'm packing up and I'm going to
Mr.
Wendy's."
Chairman, I want to be fair.
And that whole interaction happened
my
as
assessment.
I was walking
I've
by.
called it a number of times over the
You got to get that
last
tattooed on you.
I do think
Yeah.
the response for filling potholes.
One more time, and I'm packing up and going
However,
to Wendy's.
I think the response time, I will say, there are certain streets I've driven down that are public streets. One particularly I can think of right now where my car literally fell into a hole, and I was lucky to get it out of there, and the pothole was massive.
Wow.
So I can't
Holy
imagine
shit.
nobody's ever called it in, but I also nobody did because people do live on that street. I can't imagine that.
That's
DPW
so
or
cool.
Fresh folks
Yeah,
or
like
other
fuck
people
Ron
haven't
Jeremy,
seen it,
but
and
that would be. I'm
bottles are
I'm very
mine,
happy
it's
for you that you have
destroyed.
that story in
But I really
your
rise for
memory
another
bank.
question, and I'll make it very brief. I've raised
So
this issue
while
before,
the
but
council's
just
talking,
like
yes, I was just about to pull that one up. While the council's talking about this
through the
nonsense,
mayor and
which
the
is
manager to have an answer as soon as we can in the future.
I
Now, we still
did a
talk
talk
this
about
on
homelessness at a class at
consumer-
Clark
I'm sorry,
a
customer
couple of
service
weeks ago.
request for
And the
get one
professor,
number,
Jack Delahanty,
one
brought up
pothole,
an
and there
idea
might be
that
multiple
kind of blew my
potholes
gourd,
around. I brought
is
this up
that
before, so
Worcester
I actually witnessed
did
trucks go out,
white
pass
flight
one hole,
within the
and
city
surrounded
limits.
by many other holes. And
Via
because the
zoning
work order is
reform,
only for
they
one hole,
didn't
on one
just
address,
move to
everybody
Holden, they
leaves,
literally
and then
walled
somebody
off
else has to
their
call in.
neighborhoods
So
from
maybe that's
being
changed.
in
I
the
hope
city.
it's changed. I know
They
there was
white
discussion,
flighted
but
without fleeing.
Right.
And I don't know, I've just never thought about it that way before, but it's really interesting.
Yeah, so true.
Sort of, yeah.
Spend fuel and carbon monoxide to go out to a site. We should be filling all the holes within the vicinity of that site, whether or not there's a customer number for their
Yeah, the day I saw Ron Jeremy at the Rainbow, of course, because he was still alive, he was there. Lemmy was upstairs in his booth, and then I met Soul Asylum.
Whoa, that's a jam-packed day.
It was a great day.
Was Lemmy playing video poker?
When I would just walk by going to the bathroom, and I was very nervous because I thought he might be there, and I just remember him just sitting there, like holding a cigarette, even though it's illegal to smoke inside in California.
Yeah,
I kind of surreal.
Is there any way for us?
I'm not afraid to say hi to celebrities. I think it's gauche to ask for autographs, but like, you know,
yes.
I wouldn't try to say that. I would be too
no, right, right.
If you're trying to report that pothole and it avoids duplication of
Oh, I
potholes,
saw NoHo
provide
Hank in
that
Savannah.
information.
Oh, you said that. That rules.
From Barry, and I was gonna go up to say hi to him. I looked at him and my eyes lit up, and he just like turned away. 'Cause
No,
knew I
yeah,
was
he
about
no-sold
to-
you.
He knew I was about to be a fucking creep about it, but I couldn't remember his name in the show.
Yeah.
Almost yelled at him, Cristobal. That's his name, but
You know, he's from Massachusetts. You could have gone up and said, just say, "Hey, did you go to Winchester High?" And then pretended you didn't know he was an actor.
Hey, did you go to Winchester High? What's your home address?
A few years ago, I think I brought up on the floor, there's actually.
Hey, you're that guy from Winchester High, right? That's pretty funny.
Yeah, they're punishing us, Yenny, for questioning their authority.
We have fleet cars all going all throughout the city.
Well, Travis had to step out, but when he gets back,
No, I'm here.
he's
I'm here. I've been here the whole time, just dealing with this fucking spectrum issue.
Send people out.
I'm sitting here trying to remove dust from my computer, thinking it's overheating. It's a whole thing.
Take a look at the new technology.
Sorry,
oh my God, that rules.
Very time saving for us. So would request a report on that. Thank you.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Councilor. That's actually a good thought. We actually work right now. We have data from a company. That
Oh, has she? She blocked me on Twitter after our DM exchange.
Right. She blocked me too, and I did nothing fucking wrong.
I got you. Cameron, what is she even saying? I need to get a burner account.
Which identifies
I think
the range or
I'm gonna start Red Metro 2.
So the Department of Transportation is looking.
Oh, that's a pretty good idea.
When it comes to potholes, speed.
Start just like a slight misspelling of Red Metro Worcester, and it's just exclusively standing drag queens. It's like just retweeting like drag queen story hours from like across the country.
Yeah,
Like, oh my God, this is so great.
I love this. As a red-blooded American, I love this.
Yeah. As a red-blooded American named Jay Given, I love this. As a red-blooded American named Jay Given of West Boylston, I personally loved this, and I love running this account.
As a conservative man growing up in America, I have to say that the true American form of art is drag. Bill, Camber wants you to name 5 drag queens.
Okay.
I want to thank the manager for the report. I'll take some response.
No, I can't, honestly.
As we go
I'm not
along,
gonna try.
before that master plan does come out. So I do appreciate giving some updates and like
But thanks for gatekeeping drag queens to me in public. That's really great.
I just went there. We had the freezing.
She get into drag, Bill. I think you'd like it.
All over the city.
I am personally responsible for the Harley's Funhouse drag show at Ralph's Rock Diner that happens once a month.
Hell yeah.
That was when I was doing the booking at Ralph's. That was my one great contribution to that place, and that event is still ongoing. So
You're a benefactor.
Gatekeep that.
Utility companies with
Harley's Funhouse is a great time. It's I would highly suggest going.
I'm a big fan of the Golden Gaze. We saw their Christmas extravaganza a couple of years ago. They put on a really great show.
That's pretty sick. You know what I'm going to do for that?
There's been changes to that, and right now everybody's in demand. The state is in demand.
You know he means it because he's thinking it too. I need to watch this season. I really need to watch this season because there's some killers on that show too. I just don't have time to watch YouTube.
Feeling that we're probably done back in January or February, and so these, we've done close to 9,000 potholes just from February into now.
Yeah, Eric, when you go there, definitely get the pancakes.
We're on it. We're going to be.
The pancakes are great. Ask for the pancakes as soon as you go in, and tell them I told you to. And they'll make them special for you
as quickly as possible. Because not only our staff is doing it, but also we're going to have a contract to do.
Oh, it's on my to-do list, but
Yeah, and the current asphalt
wouldn't
right
you
now
know
is
it,
holding up. It's been
Ralph
holding
of Ralph's
up,
was
so we're
planning
gonna
to
be,
open up
again,
a Ralph's
doing everything
2
we can
in Key
to
West.
go full force.
I know it's frustrating. I know
Whoa.
every river drives.
And that is as much as I want to share about that story right now, because I kind of want to do like a whole actually interviewed and sourced piece on that, because it's kind of a wild story what happened to make it not happen. So I just making a mental note to myself that I got to send some text.
And also have be part of a bigger plan. So this is
Yeah, Shay, the Jaren still happens.
Monday nights.
Monday nights. Me and Brian have been recent guest features.
That's very true. I had a blast that night.
Response, and I appreciate the mayor's comment.
Yeah, I'm bummed I couldn't make it down to yours. Did you end up doing the
My question.
you were gonna do the shot clock with the slapping?
No, so I want to do I want to do that. I think I'm gonna record that. I think I want to make a special out of that. And do it as a thing. No, I didn't. What I did have was the band play. So if no one's ever been to the Dirty Jaren, great show. It's a poetry open mic, but it's more than that. And but one of the main things is that they have a live band there that will play along with you if you want. We'll back you if you want. And usually for the headliners, they take a break, and I asked them to stay on to do a bit with me. Because there's a saxophonist, Math Dad is the saxophonist, and I asked them to play the song Tequila, and so they did it the whole lead up to the one line in the song. They played it, and the whole thing, and then I just said urethra, and honestly, best joke I've ever told in my life. I kind of thought about it like 3 minutes before I went up.
I just laughed by myself.
It fucking crushed. I'll never do anything funnier.
Damn,
was
dude,
it
that
who just delivered it?
Exactly like that. Yeah.
You plucked that idea out from like the divine ether of the heavens. That is a fucking good idea.
It was. I want to figure out a way. I want to figure out an important karaoke night to do that at.
Down below was open and free without an appointment.
Remember that they did a karaoke night, or it was like a famous Worcester karaoke night? That'd be the night to pull that out on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, but I did say this is how I introduced it. I said, "Does everybody know that song by Pee Wee Herman?" And then no one got the joke on that one.
Also, Ken.
That's really good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair, I just wanted to ask the administration, have we been able to kind of determine to what degree this is an enhanced issue for the city? I think clearly to folks' naked eyes, it's an issue. I was just meeting with some
naked eyes are the sexiest eyes.
Last week, and the kids, I said, "What's an issue?" They said, these are seniors. They're driving. They said potholes. And I'm just wondering, how are you really taking a look at this? And my second question, because I only was able to briefly look at the report there, as it relates to folks recouping monies from potholes, I know there's something related to, it's already been called in and there's a certain amount. Have we seen an uptick in that? Are we tracking it? How much monies have we doled out? And you may not know the exact number, but I'm wondering if there's an uptick in folks putting in for that through the chair.
Mr. Manager.
Through the chair to the council, a lot of the issues when we're looking at potholes, we're looking at the
oh my god, we're still talking about
the CSRS system through the 211 app.
That's
We're
awesome.
analyzing that data and looking at it, whether it's district-wide or citywide, and trying to make comparisons of what's happening.
Shaun Rose is off the council, and the fucking pothole situation goes to
A lot
pot.
of people are talking about it, so it makes it seem like it's worse than what.
John Rose, elected chair of the Democratic City Committee.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. Yanni mentioned that in the chat earlier, but I didn't have a funny joke for it. So
The law department would have to come back.
Yeah, in case you were
uptaking claims.
wondering if that was a real retirement from public life, no way. That dude is running for the first
were not aware of it.
you know, state
And
office
so,
around
you know,
here.
we would
that
be happy to come back with a
opens
report
up.
to give more information.
And I'll do
But
everything I
definitely
can
know,
to
you know,
destroy
online
his
meetings that I
candidacy.
go to with neighborhood meetings, young kids, families, etc. The two conversations, the two things that people always complain about. People are
The itty
frustrated
bitty
about
city
in the
committee.
current state.
The itty
We're
bitty
gonna
city
be
committee.
aware of it, and we're gonna.
I'm on the itty bitty city committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could, to the administration.
This is a good
if you
point.
could
Like,
explain to me exactly the parameters.
well, like
of,
they're not that bad.
It is literally not that bad. I
Like,
mean,
we could
it
talk.
has
We
been.
could have a larger discussion about like how the way that we create roads these days is bad. But as far as like the DPW like actively working, they do actually.
Through the chair to
It's
the
just
counselor,
it's just a
there's an
bad
online
situation.
portal on the
Roads are unnatural.
page and on the front page.
Right.
Someone can click all the information where it happened, what was the
Roads are unnatural, and we have
and then submit any backup.
maybe the most inefficient system vis-a-vis what's above the roads and what's under them that you could possibly design. It's designed to create waste and make the roads bad. That there's no central planning between when roads get repaved and when the utilities do work on said roads.
Thank you. So that's
And I would say that there's, especially you talk about like private companies that contract out those patches. I would say, and maybe I know this because I did paving for 2 years, there's a slight incentive for them to do a bad job.
And
because you're gonna get
Thank you very much for that.
There's also a thing. They have to repatch them after 6 months automatically. So they also don't waste time doing it well the first time because they know they're gonna have to pull it and reset it. And then also again, they don't want to do a good job so that they can bill again. Just an observation. I don't have any data to back that up.
I mean that would
accessing
that wouldn't be in line with everything we know about this place that we live in at all.
Now, as opposed to someone filling out a paper and then bringing it to the clerk's office. The uptick, I'm not sure.
The depressing reality is that no one wants to do a good job.
How many claims we've had in this category, so
I don't.
Basically,
I certainly don't.
In any,
very much, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that
this is the only thing I want to do a good job at this show, and I'm not that good at it. So,
claims submitted.
Well, luckily, Brian, this is a thing that's impossible to be good or bad at. We are the only people that do this. There is no.
Or maybe
there's no.
We are the bar.
Yeah, we are the bar, and we can set it as low or as high as we want, motherfuckers. And don't you forget it.
Sort of the numerical quantification, but also
it's such an excellent point, Bill.
Going out.
Yeah, so I found it curious when Mike Trainer was going up to the stand to talk about potholes, but I guess I'm still a little bit in vacation mode where I just can't listen to this subject. I just can't mentally entertain with what the city council has to say about potholes.
Put that access to the port. I don't know if it's on the front page, but if we can have it prominently on the front.
This is a really good point. I have no problem with bureaucracy as in theory. And I have no qualm. I have no like illusions about the fact that there's a reason why we don't do bureaucracy well. It's because because people don't want to spend the money to do it well. But
everybody agrees on that. It doesn't matter where
I think we
you
can
are
all
in the
agree
city.
that
So
there's
if
simple
you
ways
don't
to do
have
things
enough
better.
people,
That momentum just stops from happening.
people aren't
Right, because
What's
Neil, keep it to yourself. But
yeah, you want to see Colo, motherfucker?
You want to see Colo, motherfucker? But we just are also in Worcester, just I think kind of uniquely a nerd from the outside world, like where we like just do not think about like city management as something that happens in every other city. It's like we have to do it the way we do it here.
Kind of addressing that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think a lot of times here in Worcester we
funding is
think of
there,
ourselves
regardless of that
as
funding, the funding is available for
being
us to go and mitigate
the
this
only
issue.
city in the world,
It's a combination of things that right now we're trying
and
to
while
manage to be able
simultaneously
to
being the worst city in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council Toomey.
Right, like every
Madam
problem
Chair, having been a
that happens
former
is
chair
like
of Public
some
Works,
unique thing to
and
Worcester.
having
And,
a
like
daughter who is
every
civil
solution is
engineer,
some unique thing.
Right. And then anytime anyone ever tries to do
history
something
lesson,
nice here, they're like,
our
but don't you
education
know Worcester
lesson
fucking
in bituminous
sucks?
products and paving and surfacing and all of
Right.
that. And I know that there's different qualities of
Just
bituminous
this is
products.
just a room full of people who
I
don't
know now there's
know about
four
cities,
staff
don't
that's
care about
talking
cities,
about,
resent the fact that they live in one.
They're actually
Never been to
new,
another, never gone to another
studies on
one.
that.
Literally never
One
gone
of the
to
things
another
that
one.
we've not talked about
Just like
basically is
have like a law and
the
order
underpavement
style
underneath the
portrait
bituminous
of like
stuff, underneath
what
that,
other cities
you've
are
got
like,
gravel,
where they
sand,
like
hard
think if they go
stone.
to New York
So my
City, they're
question
going to get
is,
immediately
how,
stabbed with a dirty needle and then
consistent,
mugged as soon
and
as they get there.
is the preparation for the subpavement for the tar, especially when it's being filled in when there's been construction.
Okay, so
Properly, when I
not to be a
drive
fucking
these formally
nerd about the rules here, but why does nobody ever call these fucks out on purview? Like when Kate Toomey starts talking about the material used to fill potholes, that is so far, right or wrong, and she's almost guaranteed wrong. That is so far out of the purview of a city councilor. It is
and I think
unreal.
that's something that
And like Mayor Petty could bang the gavel
we should definitely
and be like, "That's not
look at
our fucking
specific
job,
standards
dude."
so that if they're not there already, because that really, if you're not prepared, if your surface is not prepared properly, it will make it much worse. And I know that also.
My
now,
internet appears to be
speaking of
fine,
that,
but
I know there's
Travis's
also,
seems to be
water
having
really
troubles.
makes
Struggle bus.
it creates huge havoc with
Thanks,
these
Eric.
things. And we had an issue over on Lake Ave North a few years ago, which I actually had noticed, and we found that there was a lot of erosion under the ground. And I'm
Is
starting
anyone
to
else's
notice that
internet
again as
dog
well.
shit every day for the
And I think
past
that that's
25
something that
years?
we really ought to take notice of moving forward. What do we have movement in water that's coming down from hills? I know when we have construction.
Do we have movement in water that's coming down from hills?
Whoa.
Ask our city councilor who gets the most fucking votes every year.
Whoa.
Do we have movement in water coming down from
This
hills?
is freaking me out.
Thank you. So we'll send this to Public Works.
Do we have movement in water coming down from hills?
Do we have movement in water coming down from hills?
I gotta write that quote down.
Through the chair, do we have movement in water coming down from hills?
Coastal water, transfer information communication over to the fiscal year 25 water and sewer rate recommendations, send that to Public Works. Those in favor, opposed, so ordered. 10.26A, recommend adoption of the non-exclusive utility easement for the westerly portion of 150.
That's like
Harrington
a
Way,
that's like
Mount
a
Brown Castle Fiber LLC.
like a Talking Heads debut album lyric.
Roll call.
Do we have movement coming down from hills? Do we have movement in water coming down from hills?
Accuse himself on this item. Let the record show.
Councilor Bergman?
Yes.
A straight line exists
Gloria?
between me and the good
Councilor
thing.
Diaz?
Do we have movement in water
Councilor
coming
Kane?
down from
Yes.
hills?
Councilor Carlson?
Yes.
Councilor Nguyen?
Yes.
Councilor Pasillo?
Yes.
Councilor Russell?
Yes.
Councilor Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty?
Yes. 10.30A, transmit information communication of the. list of
Sometimes
residential
two has good snacks, and then everyone yells at them.
Properties in the city of Worcester owned by limited liability companies. Send that to ED. That's okay.
Can I speak on it?
You can recuse yourself. Please note that Councilman Bergman has recused himself on.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to speak on it.
Can I finish, please?
Yes.
Do you want to speak on this?
Yes, I would.
Councilor IGI?
You sent me too fast to ED committee, so sorry to interrupt you. First, I want to thank Mr. McGurthy for a speedy return of this order. The reason why I made it, just so that folks are aware of the background, it was in the context of the rental registry and the need that we have to understand who's owning properties in the city and to stress the importance of the rental registry, particularly in the context of LLCs, which are limited liability corporations or companies. I went back to some of the notes and research that we had done regarding the Friend properties at 257 Mill Street almost 2.5 years ago now. And why it piqued my interest is that the Friends particularly, and I'm sure this is probably the case for some of our most irresponsible landlords, perhaps in the city that do the same thing, they own 35 LLCs in different cities and towns, different names, different properties, particularly in Worcester, around, according to the research, perhaps maybe up to 50 properties. And as we know, even though the Friends have actually, we do know they have a terrible record of managing properties in Worcester and beyond. And that's because tenants from other properties that they own reached out after the Mill Street catastrophe to just talk about how bad they were. So the point is that limited liability corporations in and of itself, I'm sure a lot of people use them, but in the context of our rental registry, there's over 3,000 parcels, mixed use, residential and residential or mixed use residential properties that are owned by these companies. The whole entire premise of the rental registry was that we can understand who is behind folks that own housing stock in Worcester and reward those that do a good job and hold accountable the rest they do not.
Started this comment so we can go back to it later.
Concerned, as I have been for some times now, not only around the fact that we cannot track down owners of like LLCs. The reason for that is that in the state of Massachusetts, they are required to register a legal agent. That legal agent is not the owner of the property, meaning they can get legal notices, but they do not, we can't really track down, which is why the rental registry would be helpful. But to that extent, I do have a question, and I would love this to go to ED for further discussion to the commissioner, if I could, through you, Chair.
Sure, go ahead.
Commissioner
You
Spencer.
can ask your question.
Well, I was asking for Commissioner Spencer.
He's got to hear the question. He's coming up.
Why is Joe being such a weird little dickhead?
Joe, Jesus fucking
Spencer,
Christ,
through you,
Joe.
Chair, do we have any way to know, for example, right now, how many of these LLCs are connected to blighted properties in Worcester?
Through the chair to the counselor, we can run a report on that. We will look up as we look at blighted properties. But again, part of that is really defining what a blighted property is. So as we go through it and we use some of the software we're using, like building blocks, and we look at the number of violations and things like that, we have to
look at this fucking guy all spread out back here.
Property, and then we can go back and look at that side by side with the known owners and whether that's.
Imagine the memes on that guy's Facebook
in
feed.
your view, as the person that is spearheading the rental registry, are you concerned that the number of LLCs that own multifamily properties and Worcester rental properties, do we have a clear idea or not who owns some of this?
Candy talking?
Through the chair to the counselor, I think that is one of the more difficult properties that we deal with are ones that are LLCs, because people, there are a number of different corporations that they're held under. There are a number of different officers within that. Finding the responsible party and finding a phone number and finding somebody that we can contact in the case of emergency is often difficult. So those are definitely a priority when it comes to the rental registry.
So if we have someone like the property owners at 257 Mill Street who have upwards of 35 or more LLCs, it's their right to do that. I'm not saying it's wrong. In the case that there was a catastrophe or something like that, you would have to do quite a bit of research to try to find out how to contact them, because even when we had
I find you
their
guilty
information,
of talking about
they
the
were
problems
not
of renters
specifically very
on
easy
the
to
city
work with
council.
or very
You cannot do
accountable to
that.
the tenants or to the city for that matter.
Through the chair to the counselor. So it is a combination of getting the property owner, but also getting the property manager.
This is
so
interesting.
that
I
we
didn't know
have
about that.
Access to a responsible party, and that's really what the rental registry is looking for. Who is the responsible? We want to know who the owner is, what the mailing address is,
but also who is the responsible party that can make decisions and be there in the case.
Delaware is so cool. We always talk about like
Through the chair, is it
offshore
not the
accounts
case that,
as like, you have
in
to hide your money in the
Worcester, you
Cayman
may or may
Islands, but
not
you
know
literally
this,
just
but,
can use Delaware.
clearly we are one of the hottest markets around. A lot of people are buying
Yeah,
properties,
welcome
nothing wrong with that.
back.
Is it not the case that we don't know exactly where a lot of these owners live, whether they live in
Yeah,
the
it's like
city,
one
whether they live in
building, I
Texas?
think, right?
I know anecdotally from meetings in my own neighborhood that when a property went on fire, for example, it got really purchased quite quickly by an owner in Texas. That owner does not live here, doesn't live in District 5, doesn't live in the Columbus Street neighborhood. So if there's an issue, your inspectors, which come to our meetings regularly, have to call the bank, have to call the owner, have
It's
to track
Black
it down
Rock.
just to address issues, simple issues like code violations, overgrowth, etc. Is it not the case that we do not have a clear picture of who owns housing stock, particularly within the context of LLCs?
Through the chair to the council. Yeah, I mean, it is.
That's
the case
so
that
crazy. You don't
we
need a
struggle
name to register an
oftentimes to find
LLC
out
in
who
Delaware.
that person is. We know who the property owner is, and there may be an address on.
Who
file.
invented?
That address could be out of state.
Fucking Joe Biden did, dude.
Fucking Joe. No, it's Delaware is just like a
Delaware.
state invented by
They
Marty
own
from
as their
Ozark.
address. Mail gets sent there and never gets picked up, but we don't have that contact.
What I do,
information
this is
from
what I
things
do,
like that. So there's
is I find the registered agent, the
owners that we
legal, it's
know
usually a
and we deal with
lawyer.
all the
I
time,
find,
those are easy
usually it's
to
just an
deal with
address.
for people that post
I find the
properties
address, I
correctly,
figure
that have
out
the
which
correct
law
information.
firm is
There
there.
are
I
a
call
lot,
them
both the LLCs
and I
and the
say,
bank owners
oh, we want to rent your property for a movie
very
shoot.
challenging to
And
try to get
then,
a hold of somebody in
and then they
an
call, and then
emergency
they quickly, the
Thank you,
owner calls
Commissioner.
me
I would
back
like
all of
to
a
make
sudden.
a motion to have a report.
So
How
try
quickly
that.
do you
how
think they would
many
call you
of the
back
LLCs
if
that are
they
listed,
were like, hey, your
on the
property
sheet
needs
that
to get
Mr.
inspected?
McGurthy provided to us?
That's why you say it's
are
for,
connected
they want
to
to pay you
blighted
for a movie.
properties. And
Yeah.
in my definition of a blighted properties, anything that violates the minimum sanitary code as outlined by the state of Massachusetts in the MGL, that violates any ordinances that exist around protecting the minimum codes
You're
of
gonna
standards. and
fine my
habitability. So
LLC?
if we can have that, I would love to go that to the Economic Development Committee, and I will make a commitment to also be there and continue following this conversation.
Okay, Councilor King, followed by Councilor Corio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the counselor verbalized my motion that I was going to state, but I will kind of just make a comment. And that is, we know that in a number of these LLCs, that landlords often operate under multiple names and or addresses, multiple holdings using different names or mailing addresses for various properties. And as we stated, this makes it difficult to know who these are. And so, I know in some cities, 10% of landlords can own up to 30-40% of the city of a particular city's rental properties. I would just ask as a friendly amendment.
I wanted to register
Councilor
Wootenanny's
Hatfields,
LLC under
order
the
of
Nasty
motion,
Men LLC.
that when we get the list of properties
Shaun
that
said
are
no.
potential to be
Yeah.
stated, or problem properties, if we could also get an understanding with this LLC, and I guess and I guess I'll ask a question first. What I'm looking to get is the percentage of our landlords here in Worcester. What percent owns?
Yeah, somebody told me.
Market.
Somebody
So we have
told
this
me one
list of
time,
LLCs.
like, "Hey, you guys shouldn't have your business. Let me help you. I can, I can like hide it on an LLC, and you guys don't have to pay any taxes." It's like, I don't think
properties.
I don't
So that'd be
think
my
you're
motion,
good
Mr.
enough at
Chairman. My
that.
question to the chair of the
I get a
administration is,
feeling
do we
that
have,
that would come back to bite me.
a system where we can gather that sort of information.
Yeah. Shouldn't do that stuff.
Again, information, so trying to figure
Unfortunately,
out
like
LLCs, what
everyone does,
percentage,
kind of like, and it's just like a big open secret.
catalog, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
of our.
I like a
rental
couple
cities,
years
rental
ago in England when they were shaming
technology.
people for not paying taxes.
Through the chair to the council.
I like
Currently,
that.
right now,
That
we
was
have the
cool.
ability to know
Yeah,
how many
Because of the
LLCs are in
Panama
the city.
Papers.
And we can do a percentage of properties that
Yeah,
are owned
the
by
Panama
LLCs.
Papers story really
We
came
have
and
the
went
number
very
of properties
quickly
in the city.
in,
What we
in
don't
America
know
for
for
some
sure
reason.
the exact number.
Yeah,
is
it's
how
one
many
of those.
rental properties
What are they called?
being
Inconvenient truths.
rented. There's a number that we've thrown out there.
For
about
some
15,000.
reason that
We don't know
story
exactly that's part of the rental
had
revenue or give
just
us
a
better
couple
understanding of the
days.
number. We utilize that. We have different technology tools that can give us the number of LLCs in regards to number.
But
of properties,
the
not
purpose of
necessarily
journalism is to hold power to
rental
account.
properties. Now, there is something to say.
We all
you
know this, and we've
there are
seen it
folks
lately,
who establish
that
LLCs to protect the asset.
That's
to protect
very much
themselves,
what
even though
journalism
they
is
may
about.
be,
Yeah, this is a really
only
good
have
idea.
one property itself. It's a way to protect themselves.
All right, we did it.
So they may be
Drinking. We did drinking game. I think bingo could be
Into
really good.
administration, generally speaking, do we find that
Audience
owner-occupied
participate,
units,
prize aspect to it.
have
It
less
could be
issues?
really
I don't know
great.
if it's a question.
Yeah, true. And we could get a
Commissioner, but historically, we've always stated
like one of those
we encourage owner-occupied
turning
for those sorts of
bingo
reasons.
ball things.
Is that still sort of a assessment that we've taken?
Still up for
formally of folks
me,
who are
Gio.
owner-occupied.
Commissioner.
Through the chair to the council, right? I don't think we have a study that tells us exactly what that percentage is or how that works, but I think there is an assumption that when somebody lives at the property, there's a better level of care for that property.
Limit.
We do also know in
Limit.
often cases there are people who own properties that are landlords that have let their properties fall into disrepair, and the tenants' units as well are in disrepair. So, but I think the assumption is typically that if it's owner occupied, there's a higher level of care.
And again, I know I think it might be helpful for us moving
LBC,
forward to aggregate some of
LLC,
those numbers.
LBJ,
We're looking at complaints.
BBL.
My order still stands.
Oh, wow. Me and Shay made the joke at the same time.
Calling for
JFK blown away. What else do I have to say?
Let's see here, an audit of how we're doing business.
We Didn't Start the Fire is such a fucking funny song because it's so like it's so nakedly
percentage of those complaints
like
filed
he
up
just
on
heard the
enforcement
REM
violations
song.
pertinent
It's the end of the world. It was
That's
like,
just
I
us-
could do that.
that's just
I
us
could definitely do
doing
that.
the work.
Yeah.
And then just fucking
I
did a
also know
shitty
that
one.
in my research that I found in some of the other cities, when they're looking at these LLCs, they were able to
Whoa.
look at multiple holdings by grouping properties.
He
whose
is
landlords
alive,
have the
see?
same mailing
Oh, you were
addresses,
10,
and then
never
further
mind.
grouping those owners who have the same name. So I'm hoping we can, again, get some percentages here so we can take a good look at this as we assess how we can make Worcester safer for our folks who are renting, and also while we're looking to be supportive to our landlords. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Council Corio.
Thank you. City Manager, you answered one of my questions, but I just wanted to state the point that some LLCs are owned by just a single person and maybe a single property. And most of the times it's for, as I know, or I understand it to be, a liability. So that if something does happen to the property, then all the assets from other properties.
That's the reason, Donna. The limited liability corporation is there for liability purposes.
That is correct. Oftentimes LLCs are established for that purpose, is to protect the individual who's the owner of the LLC.
Oftentimes,
Also
it's the entire point of them
specifically
existing.
regarding liability of the asset.
So just to
I just
summarize
want
that
to
outside of
mention this.
some of
This is
these
crazy, but
problem
Shay, I remember.
properties
Is
that
this?
are
Am I
owned by
misremembering this?
LLCs,
But
there's
did Kevin
also
make a post
regular
last year
everyday people
that your
that
great
own
uncle was
LLCs in the
in
city
Seven
that are
Samurai?
just trying to,
Like a different. I'm
you know,
assuming a
protect
different
themselves
great
from their
uncle.
liabilities. Through the chair.
Is one of the actors from Seven Samurai?
To the chair, to the council, there is a percentage
Venom
of that.
Donna.
I don't know exactly what that percentage may be because I don't know if that LLC doesn't have a parent company that.
Yeah, I
'cause
figured.
Again, you could have
But
many properties, and each
incredible.
property has its own LLC, and so again, we don't know exactly. We would have to keep going down.
What's
the rabbit hole to
Ernie
figure
Bach
out
Jr.'s
which
band?
one
Those
pertains to
guys.
what. But we do know that there's a fair amount
So
of
fucking
properties
cool,
here in the
Shay.
city
That's so
where
fucking
it's a
cool.
single owner, one property, but they do have it on the LLC.
What would-
we don't know for sure.
What's the
if that's
last
just one,
band that
because
Donna
sometimes
Florio has
the
listened
LLC
to?
could be named differently, managing partner could be named differently. So again, it requires.
Let's see.
a level of work
How old
to
do you
put
think
that
she is? It's like
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to bring up.
That's
that
actually a
topic
great question. How old is Donna
people
Florio?
That may not understand
No,
why
literally.
people take on LLCs, that there are just regular people.
You know what? I
with property that
would
establish
not be
LLCs for
confident that
liability
Donna Florio
purposes.
knows
That's it.
Jay
Thank you.
Giles or the Jay Giles.
I bet you she called the cops on a Jay Giles band
Thank
show.
you, Mr. Chair. I think
There you go.
When they
There
were
you
playing
go.
at WPI or some shit.
thing. I mean, it took me less than 2 minutes to look up one of these LLCs to find out who they were, and their landline and 2 cell phone numbers. So I'm sure that we're working on the database for all of that. Is that something that maybe we could have?
Which docs them, because let me tell you, that's fucking bullshit.
Help us automate some of this so that we can get these, because I know that the Secretary of States and all of the states in the country all have the list, right? So you can go to their database and look things up that way. And then cross-check who the owners are, or what
So
the addresses
bullshit.
are,
This
et
is-
cetera. So I'm just wondering if this might be a good MQP project to help.
Who do you blame for somebody like Kay Toomey or Donna Clorio having power? It's just
through the chair to the
an
council.
insane system.
Yeah, that is a situation where, we use it.
I think we blame Joe Penny.
Whether it's economic development, inspectional services, anytime you're looking at a property.
Like, is it too much to ask for some like corrupt, smart people on the city council?
That's why I talked about it last week during the stream.
One of the challenges when it comes to
when you checked in from Florida,
portals,
one of us or someone from the show is gonna run
is not up to date.
for city
So
council
you're
the next
sometimes chasing that
election,
information.
and we're just gonna
But again, it
be
could be a different managing partner that's
nakedly
listed, and the owner is
corrupt
actually
and
not
chaotic.
listed there is somebody else that's listed. So
And I
you're
think
trying
that's
to sometimes chase that.
that's what we do. But
so again, we
but
do utilize that
from
quite
from our
frequently,
side.
as sometimes it is the best tool to be able to contact the owner.
I'm gonna
of the
file
LLC. But sometimes it's not
motions
No, I
to
get that, but I'm just saying that maybe
stop
there's something
police
that,
from responding to violent crimes in my
WPI
city
can help
council
with,
district so as to
through an MQP
depress
project
land
to
values.
Make it easier to identify.
And then
I'm sure
invite my friends to buy up the property and then get out before it becomes a scandal.
Council Russell?
I just want to
Just
make
for the record,
wrestler style videos for
wanted to
city
make sure that
councilors
it's
like we were
that
supposed to
it's
do for
a
one
company by the
sitting
name of
city
George Russell
councilor,
Realty, LLC,
but they
that
got
never
cold
was too
feet and
creative
decided to run a
naming
traditional
companies.
campaign
So
that
I-
was
I
going to get
agree
them
George
elected.
Russell Realty, LLC, but
Coward.
George Russell Realty LLC does not own
We should run Molly Cronin's
LLC is
campaign
a realtor
for
office
city councilor.
providing
Oh
services
my
and
God.
I think this is the answer.
for the consumers. So the
Someone we can all count on.
And then I also want to.
That's a really good slogan.
Because she's an accountant.
Yes.
You know,
There's
I'll do your
no
logo,
accounting
Molly.
for
when
votes.
this
I don't know.
conversation's
We'll get another
going
one in
on.
there.
What about
You can count on Cronin.
Why is it
Oh, there it is.
there's corporate entities out there? There are so many.
Just
big
Venmo me. You know,
so many big properties. I mean, as a district councilor in District 3,
whatever you feel that's
went
worth.
through hell on behalf of the senior citizens that live at 36 Up Sala Street. Through hell. The commissioner and I and other city staff through hell trying to find out who owned that property. And we went around and around and around and around. And because of corporate entities, they were able to hide. Some of the people that were even employed by the city of Worcester were on the list of corporate entities. So I understand and I agree, but we shouldn't just limit it to LLCs. We should do all corporate entities. And we should keep that in mind going forward because
George Russell
I
Realty,
know
LLC.
Because I own my brokerage business as an
Let's see.
LLC. Somebody might own a candy store that's an LLC. There's LLC
sounds like
might
he's
be
admitting
all
he owns a
kinds of
candy store.
entities, that people have for tax purposes. And when I file that file every year, it costs me $500
Whoa.
for the state of Massachusetts.
Holy
just to
shit.
tell them that George Russell lives at 30 Dolly Drive, and he also happens to be the one that's George Russell Realty.
Oh, he
And
does
my
automotive
information's
sales.
all right on. You can go Google it. You can
Whoa.
Google any LLC. The
That's
Secretary Galvin's office has that information all right there.
Very scant
So
on his
much of
annual
this
reports.
information is there. Are there people hiding behind LLCs? You better believe they are. Are there people hiding behind corporations? You better believe they are too. And those
Dude, an
people-
LLC is a corporation, you fucking stinky dummy. Jesus Christ, dude. These people.
To the manager.
What's George's full name?
Finance items, 10.3.
Is he an
George
A?
Russell, George Realty Russell.
And 10.37.
Because there's a
Middle name-
George A. Russell
Drop on the
Jr.
roll call.
in Massachusetts
Roll
that
call.
owns Cool Jewels Limited.
That's so sick.
Councilor Bergman.
Yeah, it rocks.
Councilor Calorio.
Yes.
Councilor Haji.
Yes.
Councilor King.
Yes.
Councilor Merrill Carlson.
Yes.
Councilor Nguyen.
Yes.
Councilor Ojeda.
Yes.
Councilor Basilio.
Yes.
Councilor Russell.
Yes.
Councilor Toomey.
Yes.
Mayor Petty.
Yes. 10.38A has been held by Councilor Merrill Carlson.
Which one was that, sir?
10.338A. Then we have 10.39A, which is the budget. So the staff manager is going to do a presentation on the budget. We'll do that now. We all set up for it?
What item are we on now?
Not voting on anything, but he's going to do a presentation on the budget.
Oh, shit, I was muted. I was firing off straight heat to nobody. Didn't realize I was muted.
Oh no, you want to take it again?
Nah, I can't remember what I said.
Oh, he was off the dome on that one.
Yeah. City manager's budget presentation, baby. Let's go. I'm going to take the first portion of this from the
Also has
porch.
handouts on their desk of the presentation, so if you want to follow
I
along.
did something like that before. I didn't realize I was muted. And I was saying that on the back of Donna's jacket, it could just be the hair, but I think she's a Kenny G super fan.
Opportunity just to share and present the
Yeah, all right. I knew that joke was good. When nobody reacted, I'm like, no, that's a good joke.
First, I want to thank our CFO, Tim McGurty.
Yeah, Shay, this is Budget
Director,
Fish. It's from the
Assistant City Manager
the
Hungary,
cover of the FY
Chief
25
Resource
school
Officer,
budget.
Bill
There
Bagley.
you go.
They were the team that met a number of hours, number of times to try to help and design and put this budget together. So I want to thank them for their support and their leadership and their thoughtfulness through this process. The unsung hero here is actually Erin Taylor. She's the one who really spends the hours and the days putting this budget as the budget director for the city. And so this year's budget, we're presenting a budget, an $893 million budget. It is about a 3% increase from the current year FY24. We're looking at about $533 million that will be allocated to education. 47 million is to debt service, 39 million to pension, 33 million to health insurance, 19 million to the financial integrity plan, and
Like
also
paint swatches.
$10 million in pension obligation bonds.
It's just too small to read.
And then some of the budget priorities here where
Eric Batista must have heard how we make fun of
talks about
the city council for not doing
staff and the
presentations at
support
the
of
school
staff, which
committee.
is $4.5 million on a 3%.
And then he put together the
cost of
worst
living
looking presentation of all
adjustment,
time.
And centralization of
I
some
think some
departments. Now,
knucklehead made this in
this
Excel.
budget here has been a budget that has some constraints.
Don't
but it
disrespect
also has
Excel
provided
in
some
front of Molly
opportunities in this
Cronin.
current year for us to be creative and do
Listen,
some
it
things
has its
to
purpose.
support our
That purpose
staff
is not
and
graphic
really
design.
build on
Holds
the
information
consistency
and
of investing in
displays
equity,
facts
on
very
talent,
well.
on the culture of our folks here.
And
in
I like the
city.
kids that can make the bitmap art.
The next slide here really talks about the budget revenue assumptions. We're using the governor's budget. We know that it's gone through the House. It's just today. The Senate came out with their budget as well. But according to DOR, we utilize the governor's budget. And then we come back in the fall.
I think Batista's going to make the high schooler's
as well.
mistake of reading
So the governor's
everything that's on
budget
the
here
slide.
has a 5.4%
know it.
increase.
That's why
in
it's on there,
education
'cause you didn't
funding.
want to
Looking at
memorize it.
$19.8 million in education funding.
This is everything
increase,
you shouldn't do in a
a
presentation,
3%
by the way,
increase
people.
in local aid, which is about $1.5 million.
We literally
The
train
other area
people
of
not to do this in
revenue
their
assumptions is
presentations.
the property tax
Also,
levy.
you know,
That is about
city manager doesn't have to be a
4.9%
showman,
increase.
but no hook.
That increase is consumed.
No big
here
idea off the
with
bat, no laughs.
10.9%.
Come on.
10.1
Where was
million
Tom
and
Matthews on this one?
2.5%.
Where's the buzz with this budget?
$7.5 million
I heard they don't drink the coffee.
and about $250,000 in a reduction in overlay. When we look at local receipts, that's the area that we've seen the biggest increase. And that increase is due more so to the increases in investment income. We've been able to be successful in investment income. We know that inflation is high. We know interest rates are high in terms of buying interest rates,
I
but
think
also
this
in
pie
the
chart
area
is
of
misleading.
investing, interest rates are high.
Our
And that's been
Raytheon
helpful
stock
to
keeps
us
going up
to
and
bring
up
in
and
some
up.
revenues. We've seen some increases in license and permits. We see a steady trend right now in this current fiscal year, and so we're assuming some of those increases for the upcoming year. Motor vehicle excise tax I've seen an increase, and we're seeing an increase in a trend for next year as well, which means people are buying vehicles, fines and penalties, and also, like I mentioned, interest. So here you see the breakdown of those of the pie chart related to the $893 million revenue.
We sold off a bunch of homes of
When we look
tax
at the
debtors.
FY22 revenues in the next slide, you see that 396.1 is related to property tax. Again, that's 4.7% increase related to property tax. 52.8 million of that is state aid increase, about 3% increase. And that is related to unrestricted state aid, MSBA construction, veterans, et cetera. We're looking at education aid, which are 387.2 million, and that's about a 5.4% increase. And then again, the local receipts, which is a 7.3
I think this
increase
is
that I
city
mentioned.
manager.
It's
This
about
didn't
equates
touch
to about
graphic designer.
$56.7 million.
Because the designer that
of
they
local
have is
receipts here
actually
in the
not
city.
bad. If you look at their
When we look at the
Facebook feed, it
expense
took an
side,
like an
right, we have
exponential
to
jump
make sure
in
that we submit a
quality.
balanced budget.
Right. This is
On the
ass.
expense side, 533 million.
This is
the,
pissing me off
public schools,
because it's
which is a
just not
5.3%
approachable
increase,
anymore, and it's
in
distracting.
that area.
These colors
see
are
about a
when
little slight decrease
Photoshop
when it
is
comes
like
to the fixed costs.
sends
We're
a
about
big
5.4%,
exclamation point at you, like, "Are you sure you want to put that
decrease in the
fucking
fixed
color
cost,
on the
about
screen?"
$165 million of fixed cost payments on an
Luckily,
annual
the
basis.
material will carry
Public
the
safety.
presentation.
These are all the departments: police, fire, emergency communications, and inspectional services.
I almost
This
deleted
this
that
shit's
over.
Departments is
interesting,
about
right?
a 3.6% increase. It's $113 million that equates to all these departments. DPW alone, DPW and Parks is about a $23.7 million, and that will see a 0.7% increase. And then all other departments, it's about $58.3 million, and that includes about a 7.5% increase.
This display
in all
shows
the
that
other
it's an
departments.
equal distribution, but
So
I'm
when we look
sure
at the
it's
next
not.
page here, we're focused here on the
fuck
Worcester
off.
Public Schools. I know
Sorry,
there's
if
been
I'm
a
being
big
too much, I
conversation
can
among the
shut up
schools.
and
I
just
know
do
right
this
now they're
silently
dealing with
inside.
over $20 million deficit.
I mean, there's nothing real else to talk about.
And so right now the school's
Perfect.
budget,
It's where I'm
as it reads
oddly
here, is $533 million,
well-versed.
like I've stated. That equates to about
I wish Brendan was here right now
59.7% of the
because
city's
there's
budget.
something going on
From
with the way
fiscal
that
year
the schools
2024
are
to
funded that
fiscal year
they're
2025,
misrepresenting in
the
this
city of Worcester budget
report
increased about
that like Tracy has
3%.
been tweeting about that I don't
From
quite
that same
understand.
time period, the education budget increased 5.2%.
But I'm
And
not
then
going to
from
try to
that same
speak on it
time
'cause I
period,
don't know.
also the municipal budget decreased about 0.4%. The foundation budget for the educational foundation budget has increased $122 million. It's about a 31.9% over the last 5 years. Local contribution on the city's end have also increased to a $22.5 million over the last 5 years, which equates to about a 21.6% as well. The Worcester Public Schools general fund budget increased nearly $113 million over, which is about 30%
I wish we had a general fund
over the
budget.
last 5 years as well. Our general minimum contribution for this year, for the FY25 budget, is about $7.2 million above and
probably
beyond
could.
what currently
I don't want to
is
have to
the
admit to
minimum
her that I'm
contribution,
at
which
least
will
indirectly
equate to about a
responsible
little
for
over
the train
$140
station
million
being
of
less
our
than
minimum
optimal
contribution
tomorrow.
to the Worcester Public Schools.
She'll get really mad at me.
When you look at the next slide here, it kind of
Don't go to Union
breaks down in
Station
a pie
tomorrow if you're
chart
gonna vote
how
it,
that
everybody.
education operating and capital expenses are broken down.
Are they
For fiscal
filming
year
there?
2025 operating budget, you see the breakdown there. From the debt service, the education-related debt service, which is about $22 million. A lot of that implies South and Doherty. And then you see the city operations, which is about $195 million for all city operations. Fixed costs is at about $143 million. And then education funding, again, about $133 million. And so you see how the pie is broken down. When it comes to capital borrowing budget, it's more of
Is
a
this to us, Sally?
third. Water, sewer enterprises consumes a third about that goes into the school education-related borrowing.
Are you talking
Again,
about
a
at the
lot of
train
this is
station?
related to
So the
MSBA
elevator
borrowing
apparently
that we're paying
is
debt on.
working.
And then also
But
municipal-related borrowing, which includes
I can
parks, roads, streets and sidewalks, etc.
if that's what we're talking about.
When we look at the fixed
because they're
costs
blocking
here,
off the platform.
this is an area
tomorrow.
where we're seeing the biggest change. If you look at the
Send me a
chart
DM,
on the right-hand
Sally.
side, the biggest change increase is
I'll
about a
find out.
4.8 million change is regarding to the debt service.
Yeah,
And
I think
and that is
everything. I think it should be fine. But
this year, that's one of the biggest
I
changes.
will
The other
follow
one
up on
is
it.
the financial integrity plan, and we'll discuss that a little bit further in regards to what, the financial integrity plan. But right now, the fixed cost for the city of Worcester is anticipated to be $165 million for the
Imagine like
upcoming,
Eric's really proud of this
fiscal
color
year. And these are
scheme.
fixed costs. Again, this
He
is
sees we're
related to
shitting on it. He's like,
pensions,
oh, that's how I
health
pay him.
insurance, debt service, street lights, snow removal, pension obligation bonds, OPEB trust deposit.
Where's all that
workers'
debt
comp,
coming
et cetera. That's all of our fixed costs.
I wonder where all that debt
When we
service
look
is
at the
coming
breakdown of departments, and every single department that we have in the city, here's the breakdown that happens there and some of the notable changes. When you look at the contingency, we put some dollars into
Good
contingency.
question.
You see an increase of about 59.5% increase in contingency. The reason for that is we're putting some dollars in there. We're currently in negotiations with unions.
That'd be a steal.
And so some of the impact of that may happen in FY25. So we're
Another $5 million for the cops.
coming into a resolution with some of the bargaining units. And so a lot of that implies COLAs related to the unions. The city manager's office, you'll see a 33.7% increase. That is an addition.
My huge
of
fucking
bringing in
salary,
staff,
bitch.
centralizing,
Yeah.
My big old dick.
Management
33% increase. What are the public
technology
school
department,
increase?
moving them
5%?
into our
Yeah,
office.
interesting.
We have also a communications person that's under DPH. That's moving them into our office. So it's trying to centralize that work. As part of that centralization and the number of staff that we built as part of communicating and engaging with the council and the public.
My
and the,
company
social
issued
media
Ford Explorer,
and
wasn't
everything that we're
enough.
working
I
on to
got
be
a
able to
Bugatti.
provide as much information. We are recommending also a director of
If
this
I made
team
what Eric
that
made,
is
I would
gonna
get
be part of
jewelry,
the city
really
manager's
gaudy
office.
jewelry, in
City
all the most
council have seen some
inappropriate
changes.
places.
Oh,
Last
from
year we
Cool
had
Jewels Ltd.
council
Ooh.
staff. This year is reflected in the city council's budget. And so you'll see some of the increases related to that here because now the staff
Well,
is in place.
if they address the issues that would stop the complaining that gives them the
staff
votes.
here as well. Human
Yeah,
resources.
what would they have to talk
We've
about?
transitioned some staff from
Real
police department
problems
and
or
also
like progressive
from
solutions to said
DPW.
problem?
Those staff have come over to help centralize some of the efforts that we're building in the human resources department for recruitment, retention, and also hiring.
They just moved people over from
finance.
police
We've also
and
made some
DPW
changes and also added components in.
to
I'll touch
human
on that a little bit
resources.
later. Police, it's a 9% change, and I'll touch on that on some of the areas the police department. Emergency
Wait, Chamber,
communications, we've made a
explain yourself.
significant
I don't know
increase
that.
there. We've added
I
some
missed that.
additional
So
customer service
two
staff
shared a
into that department for
story
311 staff call center.
today. I think that
Elections
delves
have
into
seen
this about how
15.7%
Worcester essentially
change.
pays
That change is
Israel like
related
over $2
to,
million a year.
this
And part of
upcoming
it
year,
is the
be
police
less,
training and
elections than we're currently in this current year.
they
And
send
so
they
you'll
send
see
cops
that,
over there for
increase. But
training. They
again,
bring
probably the
police
following year
from
after that,
Israel
you'll
over
probably see an
here
increase
for
again,
an
'cause it all
the
depends
IDF over
on the
here for
election
training
cycles,
police.
as well. And then, so overall, we have about
But
14
I think the link is in
proposed
two
new
stories.
positions and 40 regrades to staff,
I knew
to
that
all
Steve
staff. And
Sargent
that's 40
I didn't
regrades
know that
out of
anybody else
2,000
did. That's
staff that we have. And a lot of that was, decisions and conversations with
the
departments
old
that have
boomerang theory of
proposed that,
empire,
to
everybody.
us. When we look at some of the investments in key budget themes,
The
one thing
tactics
that's been
deployed
very
on the periphery
consistent
will
and we've been
eventually
very
come
focused
to
on since I took on is about how do we provide an organizational health environment, changing the culture of our staff, providing better benefit packages.
It's hard
providing
because they're both
opportunities of growth,
tiny,
providing,
insignificant,
being consistent with
angry
COLAs,
little spit
trying
of
to
men.
find ways in which we can continue to bring people up. We've done that with other unions. We've
So
been
it's
able
really
to raise
easy to mix
unions
them
2
up.
pay grades. We've been very strategic with other unions of providing a 1% market adjustment. We've been very strategic and for example, communications and 9/11, and trying to make some strategic increases in that department
What
as
about
well.
9/11?
And so we've been very
Yeah, I was
good at
only
doing
paying
so
half
with
attention. All of
bargaining
a sudden,
units, and
9/11.
we still have some more to go. But as part of that, one of the biggest areas that, and an
You
area that
just
has
said
been
that
Don't tell me we're
9/11
still paying for
impacted
9/11.
is the non-representative
9/11 was an
individuals.
inside
We
job,
have over
so
500 individuals in that space. A lot of them work in City Hall. Some of them work in different departments across the city, or the
$250,000 a
library,
year.
or correctional service, etc. But the majority of them are in City Hall, and oftentimes they don't have a bargaining unit, and so they're advocating to their cabinet members, and the cabinet members are doing their job to advocate for them as well. And so we're proposing not only a COLA, but also an additional 1.5%
Next week, we're bringing
wage
on
adjustment to
Jessica
all these staffs. We
Talk
want to
about
make sure
building
these
seven.
staffs are continuing to elevate, and so we're trying to bring them up as well. We're looking at a pay equity analysis. We're looking at other communities. We're looking at differential structures. We're looking at
Building 7 do be
performance evaluations, and all of
Well,
that
Google
is part
Building
of
7.
making some
Building
headways, and this is
7,
one
Building
way to do
7
that.
will drive you nuts.
We're also making some adjustments to our cabinet. There's some cabinet members who are much lower than other competing municipalities across the state. And so this is going to be a multi-year approach, and we're looking at not only making some investments this year, but also making some investments in the next couple of years.
Perhaps we have a
to be the
request.
cabinets, executive managers, and so forth. We got to start somewhere, and this is an area where we felt strongly
Batista
we needed
version
to make
of
some
that.
headways in. Technology is a big, important conversation.
Cipro brought
Right
in
now, a lot of our
Guantanamo
technology
guards?
software systems are subscription-based. A lot
Okay,
of them
we're
are
gonna need a
subscription-based, and
link
very
on
little
that.
where we're developing our own
need to
code and
Oh,
developing
Yenny,
our
who was
in-house
that?
software. And so when these programs are subscription-based, it requires a shift of funding. Historically, the funding was in capital. Now the funding is in operational. So it impacts the operational budget.
Oh,
And so
Yenny,
you'll
that
see an
is-
increase in that. Cybersecurity, we're doing some transitioning to the cloud and cybersecurity. We want to protect ourselves a lot better in this
is a
area. We've
legitimate
had some
story
risks,
you
and
got
we want to
there.
make sure that we're staying in the trends as well when it comes to cybersecurity.
I might have to you about
One of
that.
the areas that we want to make some realignments and transfers of positions, like I mentioned, one of them was HR and also the city manager's office. But the other area is purchasing. Most, if not all, a lot of the purchasing that happens in all of our departments
What was that?
happens in a
That
really
was a gavel.
decentralized way.
Yeah.
Every department submits their requisitions of vendors
Yeah, someone must
that
have
they
been-
are trying to seek for goods and services. And oftentimes
Jenny was
it's
probably
tough
doing
to
something
track,
illegal.
but also it's tough to measure MBEs and WBEs. But also at the same time, this will give us an opportunity to measure the effectiveness of that. That also helps us to build efficiencies in the way we spend our dollars as a city. Sometimes we spend our dollars in a way that we are not mindful of the overall budget.
Spend our
And so we want to make
dollars.
sure that every department is consistent with that and their standards and checks and balances in the way we make our purchases.
Oh, you mean the fact that
In
and
addition to
cops
that,
get
we're
from
reorganizing
out
our department funding to enhance operational efficiencies. Like I mentioned, in human resources, in the do-it department, there's some safety supplies that line items in many different departments. We have a safety officer
we should do it-
in human
we should do a
resources
TED Talk
who works with
with
every
him.
department and providing what tools and what areas of training and supplies they need.
If you
And that
have
person
one
has
bullet, you
the
need to have a
expertise and the
second
knowledge
bullet.
to be able
There's
to do
no
this. We
reason
wanna
to just
centralize
have
those funding
one
into
bullet.
HR. The other one is technology. A lot of copiers and telephones all over the city. Every department manages each vendor separately. And so we want to centralize that and have the do-it department make sure that it's all centralized under them and they're controlling the spending and the invoicing for those particular vendors. In addition to the key investments in our departments, public safety is a big one. We are
Geo Hellraiser,
making
that's
sure
been my
that we
favorite
retain
Twitter
the complement in both departments, in
thing
police and
is
fire.
all the
So we're
races posting of
also
very tiny
submitting
cops.
proposal
very
for
funny.
2 new recruit classes in fire and also 1 in police.
I want
And
the cops
regarding to
armed
the
with
fire
spit
department,
guns only.
one of the requests
Tubes and
was also
spitballs.
to have floating lieutenants.
The most recent one
These
was a
floating
post of a
lieutenants
cop
gives us the
doing
opportunity to
traffic
reduce
tickets.
overtime.
Who was
The
very
department
tiny.
has been very
And caption was,
cautious of this, and they want to
What,
work
is
with
he
us.
only
And part
allowed
of
to
that
take
is having floating
supers?
lieutenants to fulfill when people call out on sick time or vacation.
Take
be
that
able to
again, Bill. I
fulfill
didn't
those
hear it.
hours in those areas
whatever,
across
it's
the
not-
city.
I want to know what it said.
And have some savings there.
The
Parks
caption was,
department. This is something we will be
what is he
announcing
allowed to
shortly
take
to the
Mini
public. But,
Coopers?
I'll
You can
discuss
only
it
take
here.
Mini
We've
Cooper.
actually
I don't know, whatever.
are outsourcing
It's funny.
this project, this program to a
'cause he's
local
small.
company, a local organization, agency
And Mini
who
Cooper's
does
small.
this work. They're very good at what they do when it comes to hiring and recruitment lifeguards in the city. And so we're very excited about this. It's on the way right now. They're doing great work in recruitment. Their recruitment efforts are on their way. And so we're very excited because we will be able to have the ability to recruit and have folks staff our pools and beaches this summer, which is extremely important for all residents of our community. And so that's been important. The other is we're reinstating
The director
a
of
grant
streets
writer.
was fired
We've had
for
a grant
overtime
writer
fraud?
funded in administration and finance for many, many years. Last year, we defunded that position because we had to make some adjustments into our budget last year and cuts in areas that we had to defund. This is one position that was defunded. So we're excited to bring that person back because it's going to augment some of the work that the departments are doing, but also support in helping writing these grants and also accessing grants that are federal grants, state grants, so that we can leverage that for overall our day-to-day operations as a municipality. Also, our Regional Tourism Council, which is Discover Central Mass, they're the hospitality and tourism agency of the city. They've had a contract with the city for multiple years of marketing Worcester and going to events and exposing us and finding ways to get people to contract with the DCU Center and getting people into our hotel rooms. So we're recommending reinvesting in them again this year. They've had an opera contract for the past 3 years, so we've been able to divest some dollars. This year, their contract is running out, and so we're going to be recommending to supplant that again.
Hope you're getting ready
capital
for
budget,
your platform.
you have a capital budget here, and I know the loan authorization
You have
was
to
held
decide
tonight,
whether or not you want a
but
luchador
this
mask.
just gives you a perspective of where our priorities of projects and based with working with the departments of what we're trying to do and to try to achieve. So some of the key projects that are included in this overall capital budget priorities include Doherty High School and Worcester Arts Magnet, improvements at Worcester Arts Magnet, the fire department engines and ladders, marked police vehicles, upgrades to public safety radio equipment. It's end of life, so we have to
maybe it's a
upgrade
balaclava.
those. We got core
My
public
favorite, like
facility
2 minutes to late night
projects
did
all across
balaclavas
our
of
buildings. We have DCU and
Arsenio
union
Hall's
facility
corpse
improvements
paint.
that we need to make.
So maybe we'll do a balaclava with like
Complete
custom.
street design and overall improvements. The auditorium roof, it's at a last leg. We have trees growing out of that roof. And so we're putting some dollars in to replace the roof. Parks improvement, which include Green Hill Park, East Park, University Park, Graybull Valley Park, and others are included in this. Playground resurfacing at Elmwork and Blythewood Park, and sports courts improvements as well that is included as this. Parking, water and sewer infrastructure upgrades. So there's a lot that's happening in the capital budget in terms of the priorities and areas that we're going to be addressing this upcoming year. One of the biggest things is about a $1.2 million. It's an ESCO project. That is an audit that would audit our properties, our buildings, to see what are other areas we can be more energy efficient. And so that audit will help us to understand what are the areas that we can improve. We did that a few years back with Honeywell. We had a massive ESCO project over multiple phases. That's coming to an end. And so this is a new audit, proposed audit that will give us a kind of an idea of where we're at. And
Yeah, this
we
is
need,
baby's first
as a
city budget because the last budget was an Augustus budget.
It just highlights a little bit of the budget constraints. I know there's been a big conversation on the floor, and I've had conversations with a lot of the counselors on some of our budget constraints. And we do have budget constraints. We're seeing that from the state, federal government, all the way down to municipalities. So the state aid may have.
Ed Augustus was so tall.
The House's proposal. The
He failed his way into a cabinet level
their budget.
state
The Senate just
position.
came out with no
Big Head's book.
decreases. So maybe
Most
that's a
important
good thing.
trait for any
Again,
actor
but we
or
have limited
politician.
growth in our
Huge
local
head.
receipts.
Ed Augustus
You
had
mentioned that we've had
big
some
old
growth
fucking
in
head.
Our investment income, that's been the highest
Big
growth. It's
head.
been about $2.4 million growth in investment income. That's a good thing. But if investment interests go down, then that also impacts our ability to increase our local receipts. Expenditures, we have some increasing expenditures obligations. We got local required contributions that keep going up. Last year was about a little over $6 million. This year is $7.2 million. That also has an impact and constraints. We have increased capital demands, not only on the school side, but also on the city side. And we also have Burnco and middle and high school to address. We have Worcester East Middle to address. And those are, again, expenditures and constraints for future
Don't
budgets.
talk about Polar Park here.
Increasing personal commitments.
Stick to the script.
collective
Don't
bargaining.
mention the Polar Park debt
We have, like I
obligation.
mentioned, obligations to
Good job.
ongoing online subscriptions when it relates to these softwares, from the Workday to Tyler to both Vertex One.
I love how
cybersecurity,
fucking
we have increasing costs
easily
in our
they
pension
just
obligations. We
let
have a
that whole
3.5%
"it will pay for itself" thing go.
pension obligations that it goes into that happens every year annually until FY34. We have health insurance that goes up a little over 3% health insurance on an annual basis. We have some real debt service obligations, and then increasing financial integrity plan obligations. One of the things that we commit, this council commits on a yearly basis, we give 25% annual increases to the new high school stabilization account. So again,
Baby
want to be
budget
consistent
cuts,
with that.
baby
And again,
budget
all
cuts.
that provide some constraints on the long term. Other OPEB trust fund contributions, we have about 10% annual increase that happens to that. And so that's also a constraint. And just to go back to the new high school stabilization account, this budget is contributing a little over $9 million just this year to fund the stabilization account. So again, the council, the administration is finding ways to continue to fund future debt, future areas that we are considering for replacement and project costs. But again, all of these also present constraints. And then the last graph here just shows you the overall debt impact right now that we have as a city when we look all the way to 2055 or so. So when you look at that graph, the green part is Burncoat. And so it shows what the impact could be for Burncoat and how do we prepare for that. So this budget and the financial integrity plan that we've submitted as a proposal
Why
to the council
isn't Polar Park
present an
on this
opportunity
graph?
for us to look at holistically our constraints, but also a lot of opportunities as a city. This year, we've have about 2.5
Like
million
honestly though, because
to disseminate between all of the departments. We've had over $18 million of departmental requests for operational dollars, and we had 2.5 to work with. I think we've presented a balanced budget that took into consideration the departments, the council's requests.
is it just
areas
on
that
there
council
under the
has
bottom
been,
one, current debt
in
service?
conversations with me, but also on the council floor,
That's
areas
awesome.
that the community have asked for. And so this here presents a budget that gives all of that, but also understanding and knowing that we have some constraints and how do we prepare for the future and making sure that we fund destabilization accounts in these areas for the future as well. So thank you for the opportunity to share this budget. Again, I thank this council for your support and your willingness to consistently not only communicate the needs and the priorities of this body, but also ensure that a lot of this effort is managed by the departments on a day-to-day basis, knowing that we may have some constraints in some areas as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank you, Manager, for the overview and thank you for a solid budget. I look forward to reviewing in detail and in the council's recommendations going start next Tuesday, I think at 5 o'clock. We'll start the budget process. Council King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What do we plan to do with these items?
These going, they go into finance.
Okay, thank you.
So we're going to take these three items, A, B, and C, and we're going to refer those to finance. And
no questions at all.
Opposed, so ordered. Mr. McGurthy, and thank you for your and your committee of one.
I think
thank you for
Ruth. That's a very good.
You got a good budget. I know you spent a long
very
time
good point.
So, and we have a lot of challenges. And as the manager,
I really
laid
think
out for
that
us when it comes to the
it is
both the operating and the capital budget. So
the current debt service thing at the bottom was
okay.
Yeah,
just Polar Park.
Okay. So we're going to go to chairman's orders, and I'm sure so Aaron Taylor, thank you for your help on this too. Much appreciated. 11A to 11T, motions to adopt.
Mr. Chair.
Councilor
I would
IGI.
like to have a separate roll call for orders 11D, 11E, and 11F, please.
11D and 11E.
11D,
These are
11E, and
all
11F.
these chairman's orders are
I missed the end of
related
that.
to
Oh, I'm sorry. 11D,
rental
11E,
registry.
and 11F.
yeah. He's been acting pissed at Attell the entire night. All right. I mean, I guess Attell's
Except
entire
11D,
term.
E and F, motions to adopt. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. So 11D.
I just like to have a separate vote on these. I think they are, they don't serve the strengthening of the rental registry, and I'd like to be on record to personally to oppose them.
Okay, so take those individually on a roll call.
Mr. Chairman,
Council King.
just give me 1 second here.
Yeah, 11D
You didn't
is
read them ahead of time.
allowing private companies the ability to complete inspections.
I just got a quick question, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
I'm just not sure with 11E. I just want a little bit of an explanation for that one through the chair.
Councilor Member Carlson?
Oh, that's ought to be good.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this came out of, and I'm going to use as an example, Alter on the Row, which is the Mount Carmel Apartments that was just built. They just went through a couple years of construction. They just received their occupancy permit. Obviously, they had to go through every permitting process that there is. This is a building that, again, every department in the city of Worcester has been there. This is brand spanking new construction. So
Candy's
the committee
billing for
had
developer
put
funds.
forward a chairman's order saying that for us to waive them having to pay the dollar amount for 1 year. Again, 1 year, it's brand new construction, and that's really what this is about. I quite honestly,
They already got a TIF.
Right.
Can't imagine us going through over 300 brand spanking new
Stop saying
apartments.
spanking.
And these are brand spanking new apartments when we can be spending our time on apartments that, quite frankly, need us to go in and inspect.
Very Trumpian, quite frankly.
So that's where,
quite
Mr.
frankly,
Chairman, that's where this came from. There's the Remington, which was also just built across from Polar Park. They just received their occupancy permits. And again, every single one of those apartments were inspected in order for them to get their occupancy permit. So again, it's not that the committee was looking at waiving anything that is of any age. These are brand new that the city of Worcester has just gone in and inspected. And I really think that when people talk about the city of Worcester and that this rental registry is about a money grab, I mean, to be honest with you, if we're going in and inspecting brand spanking new apartments, then I quite frankly would agree with them. If we are going in and inspecting buildings that quite honestly are older, I totally agree that we should do that. And again, it's a year is what the recommendation was coming out of the committee. And this doesn't just stand for the Remington or Alter on the Row. What the committee was asking is any new development that has just been built and given their occupancy permit.
What committee
Thank you,
asked for
Mr.
this?
Chairman. I'm happy to answer
Economic
any
development.
questions.
That's also not even remotely close to what the order says.
And to be clear, I'm not sure how supply. I expect the manager to come back with a report with the from the. I'm sorry, Councilor King.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So this is just asking for a report.
Yeah. All these are under consideration for the city manager. They come back and.
So I guess I had a quick question through the chair. As it relates to new infrastructure, it makes sense to me what I heard Councilor Carlson allude to. Why is it that they're not automatically, I mean, we have everyone out there doing permitting and all that and the like. Why is it that, I guess, city administration
What
has
the
a way to have them registered as part of that process? Why does it have to be a separate process?
Commissioner?
Does that make sense?
Through the chair to the counselor. There's two separate things. One is the registration, one is the inspection. And it's always been our intent to look at any certificate of occupancy as the same as an inspection, because these buildings are being built to a very high standard with
That's not true.
state-of-the-art fire suppression systems, alarm systems, all of that kind of stuff. Every bit of that building
Being
will
built
have
out
been
of plywood.
inspected at the time that CO was issued. So when we talk about sort of the body of 50,000
Wood
units that
frame
we're going to be inspecting, we're looking
construction,
at doing
maybe.
10,000 a year. Ones that have just been built are going to be probably inspected in about 5 years. So that we had no intent of doing anything that was brand new right away because we
I mean,
are really
obviously.
looking at the higher risk and we're pushing those ones to the back. So that was always the intent.
So again, so what prevents us from?
Before we ask another question,
Oh,
Mr.
sorry.
Manager.
Sorry, I just want to amplify what the commissioner said as well. When you look at some of these brand new properties, by the time, like he said, we issue the certificate of occupancy, the inspectors have been in there probably 20 some odd times, like so many different permits, et cetera. And so on the permit end, we're looking at probably not going in there probably until the 5-year end. On the registration end is the area where it's different than that. The registration they can register right now. It's more on the inspection, and we're not going to go in there and inspection the property right away because we've been already in there inspectioning every element of that business.
Sure, thank you. I mean, it seems to me that it would simply make sense. I know there's quite a intricate process that causes the intersection of many departments and folks for these new developments. And it seems to me that we should be able to do it concurrently. I mean, it's brand new. We're inspecting it. We're in there. Should be registered. I don't know what the barrier is. So I don't want anyone to take this.
There is no barrier. Kenny's just trying to hook it up for our constituents.
We're not going to be inspecting for 5 years. We're essentially, we've okayed and we permitted and we've approved the work. And registering it should be.
It's a really good idea to name a food product Cetera, though, because Eat Cetera is
Thank you.
Okay.
a fun,
Chair, could I just add
fun
one thing?
slogan.
Sure. Council
Just to,
Haggai?
just to clarify, the way that I read these 3 orders is making exceptions for new developments to register, and that's not good. We heard the inspectors, the commissioner say that, and the city manager that they're not going to prioritize brand new buildings. However, what we're trying to do with these orders, at least in my view, is trying to further meddle into an ordinance that has been approved by this council and create all these different avenues for, in my view, weakening it. And that is the primary reason and the only solely reason why I am opposing them.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we are.
On a different, that was on 11E. I have something on a different, on 11F.
Okay, go ahead.
Just on 11F, I know I had made a similar motion in committee back at the end of 2023 or so. And it didn't make it into the ordinance. The chair at the time, Sean Rose, had given indication that there would be some language relative to this. And I know that there's also a motion, an order that's filed today for today's meeting from Councilor Russell, asking for owner occupied, I think it said 8 units, up to 8 units or something. 6 units. And so I'm just getting kind of confused between the committee's order and that order. And what actually happened with the language from the motion in committee. Do we know? So there was a motion at the end of the meeting back when this came out of committee. And my understanding was that there would be some exemption for owner occupies, but it's not in there. It is in there? Okay, so then what's this then? Through the chair.
Christian,
is this
read
already in the ordinance?
the damn
Is that what we're
thing.
saying? Through the chair?
Challenge.
Mr. Manager, Commissioner.
The exemption is that the
Commissioner, do we
owner
have
doesn't have to
in the
pay
ordinance,
for their
do we have-
own
Do we have an
unit.
exemption for owner occupied 3 units or less?
Through the chair to the council. Yeah,
Chamber, I hate to
anything
tell you
that's,
this, but I don't
2
think we sold any
or
of those.
3 units that is owner occupied is exempt from the registration fee. They still have to register.
Yeah, we gotta sell. We gotta
And then when
sell
it comes to the
more of
inspections,
those.
The only units that will be
Sure. I
inspected
mean,
are
I
the
guess.
rent inspection units, not
I
the
guess we
owner
probably owe you royalties from
So the exemption
overall.
is in
I don't know.
there
We'll figure it
for the
out. We
registration.
also owe you a shirt.
No fee for those to register, and that's
That you want.
what was put in the ordinance.
Wait, they didn't get that shirt yet? I thought they got the shirt.
Okay.
No, we keep seeing each other, but Forgetting. I keep forgetting to bring
I
it.
agree. I do.
I'm gonna put it in my car tomorrow.
Silly Billy Gumdrop.
Detail.
Weren't they at Hot Dog?
Pros and the cons, and
I forgot to put it in
wrapping
my
this up,
fucking
and,
car, dude.
Appreciate the
Well,
committee's efforts.
Hot Dog
and,
again this Friday.
So
Yes,
we take
yeah,
a
that
roll
is
call
true.
on
I forgot
B.
to
Roll
upload a
call.
graphic, but yes,
Bergman?
Friday night,
Yes.
May 10th.
Council Florio?
Yes.
Council GA?
No.
Council King?
I
Councilor
didn't.
Carlson?
Oh,
Council
hell yeah,
Nguyen?
thanks, Ben.
Council
I'm good
Ojeda?
for one or two.
Yes.
Council Pasillo?
Although it doesn't have the date on it.
Council Russell?
Yes.
Council Toomey?
Yes.
That means we could
Mayor
use it
Petty.
forever. It's nice and
Yes.
evergreen.
11E. Roll call.
Council Bergman?
Yes.
Council Calorio?
Yes.
Council GA?
No.
Council King?
Yes.
Councilor Carlson? Council Nguyen?
No.
Council Ojeda?
Yes.
Council Pasillo?
Yes.
Council Russell?
Yes.
Council Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
11F. Roll call.
Council Bergman?
Yes.
Council Calorio?
Yes.
Council GA?
No.
Council King?
Yes.
Councilor Carlson?
Yes.
Council Nguyen?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know what
Council
Christian's
Ojeda?
doing.
Yes.
Council Pasillo?
Yes.
Council Russell?
Yes.
Council Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
Yes.
He's trying to become mayor.
11U is referred to the Public Health and Human Services Committee. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. We are on orders.
Ah, boy.
12.
George Russell's great stand against the
Request
rental
Commissioner
registry
of
is coming up.
Transportation Mobility provide City Council with a report concerning the city on-street handicap parking policies. Said report should include comparison of how the process is handled in other communities, as well as a status update on existing spaces. Council Cora?
Calorio has like 17 orders on here.
I'll be short. This came out of
No,
many
you won't.
discussions when we're in our meetings about really the procedures or the policies. And when you look at other communities, there's different ways people evaluate
Bingo.
distribution of handicap parking spaces.
I don't
So
think
thought
I ever
with
showed
Commissioner
off
Raleigh, and
what
think
I
this is a
found
good
when I was
start
cleaning up my
if
studio.
We can get a report on the actual procedural.
If we need a prize, I have the perfect prize.
In how we distribute handicap parking.
Oh, wow.
Spaces in the city. So if we can start
What
with
is
that,
it?
it can either go to my
I'm gonna
committee or
focus.
it
Oh
can
my
go to
God, my
MO
computer's
when
doing
the
a
report comes back. It doesn't
solo
matter.
layout. Here we go.
Okay, so send that to the manager.
Yes,
All those in
thank you.
favor,
Wow.
opposed, so ordered.
Wow.
Request the mayor, request the Commissioner of Transportation Mobility provide City
That's
Council
awesome.
with a
Champ is
report concerning the
here.
City speed
Wow.
bump program
Nice.
procedure. Council
Metal
Florio?
cup.
Same thing. We talk about how we go about distributing or the selection of speed humps.
Somebody
and
can
I
win
think that
this.
We just need to
We just
firm
gotta
up
have a contest.
policy of where does it go first? Who looks at it? Who decides? And
That can
then
be
we
the
can
bing-
go
that
from
can be the
there. It
bingo
can go to
prize.
Either MO or my committee as well, after
Okay.
the report is back.
Yep. Those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Okay. C, request the manager reach out to the appropriate representatives from CSX to ensure the company's trains do not idle in the Burncoat neighborhood in the vicinity of the rear entrance to Stop and Shop due to the concerns over potential noise and environmental pollution. Council Coroyo and Pasillo.
Thank you. Yeah, I received a message to.
The
call
sad
a
fact
friend
of it
mine
is
who's
that
in
if
that area.
Maureen
And
Bienda runs
on
for mayor,
the-
she's gonna win.
on
She's
the
definitely gonna win,
message,
and it
there's a
won't help.
recording
It won't
of
help
a, train
Christian
idling
because
while
he'll bleed
at
so many
nighttime,
voters
and I thought it was
that he
really
has
interesting,
cultivated over the
but yet
years that it'll
disturbing. I
just
don't know if I
offset
could
any
sleep
gains that
through
he
the
ever would
idling
get
of the
anyways.
train
It's fucked.
idling. So I thought
You know?
if the city manager could
Yep.
reach out.
It's foolish.
To
It's foolish.
CSX and find out why the trains are at that location.
But I also
and why
don't think
they're
he ran a
idling.
very good
That would be
campaign
very
the last round. I think he left a lot of votes on the table.
Yep.
Council Toomey. I'm sorry, Council Pasillo, do you want to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well,
I
as
do
we've
wanna
seen
thank
many times
Councilor
before, I think they
Florio.
just
We
won't
did
vote.
This resident's house, and I
The only
heard
way
the
he's going to win
recordings,
is
and
by
it was
exciting
really
people
loud
into
for him
voting
and
that
his
don't
neighbors
normally
in
vote.
Burncoat, and I would really love the city manager help us with this. Thank you.
Council Toomey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This has been a long time reoccurring problem, and I really think that part of it is, again, it's communication with CSX and making sure that we continue to have that good communication. Folks in that neighborhood have endured this for a very long time. So
got
I absolutely,
a
I would
lot
like
of
to
loose
sign
thoughts
off.
on
It's okay.
Like
So send
maybe
that to the
city
city manager
council
as
is
amended.
like not
Favor
worth
approves,
winning.
so ordered.
You know, like it can't be
8B,
one,
request the
and
manager consider reissuing
might
actual
not even be
resident
worth
parking stickers to
trying to
residents
win.
who have paid their fee for said stickers. Councilor Russell?
Mr. Chairman, in many of our institutional
That's kind of a
zones,
dark thing to talk
where the
I
resident
think
parking,
I mean we've been talking about it
allocated.
to more and more in recent weeks. I really do think that you have to take a radical approach to it, as far as, like you said a few weeks ago, throwing bodies at it, and just running a savvier campaign, as far as like, why would you even get involved with any of the bullshit that people that run up against the wall in these campaigns locally do? There's so much entrenched interest in having the same centrist right coalition, that why would you even try and run actually against them? What you need to do is like figure out a way to convince different people to vote.
The major hurdle for any progressive movement in the city that no one has ever been able to figure out since probably like the time of freaking Franklin Delano Roosevelt is why would you actually bother or care to pay attention to city politics, right? Have not been able to make that case to enough people. So the place where we need to start is literally eyeballs. Like, what is the thing that gets people to pay attention?
Right, exactly. That's why we talk about a chaos campaign.
Chaos campaign would
worth trying.
Yeah, literally nothing else is going to work.
I do, we talked about it when we talked with Attell last week. She does win. She is winning. I think that there's a lot of people that vote that are pretty similar politically to Attell that got buzzsawed in the last election cycle, partially because they're running at large, and that's a harder hurdle for a progressive in some ways. But as Tu has shown us, if you are a charismatic candidate, then it's possible to break through, to even just eke through. But again, it's figuring out a way to break through. Tu got out a coalition of voters and volunteers and people that don't normally vote. They didn't steal voters from other at-large candidates necessarily. They kind of got one candidate voters to come out, it seems like.
Right.
But
this will get a report back.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just think I think it's you can't possibly hope to run in the regular campaign and beat and get through these, especially at large, because it's going to take something different, and it's going to take Molly Cronin running a entirely spreadsheet-based campaign.
The rental registry.
Yeah, like what is the thing that gets us from 20% voter turnout to 25% voter turnout? And then we can start having a conversation about anything else.
Right.
Has turned into, since we started just looking at this rental registry as a way to weaken it, dilute it, make it less effective than it should be.
I mean, Worcester City politics is a good example of local politics being reactionary, but it's only inherently reactionary because it's a fucking reality TV show for retirees. It's like it's not inherently reactionary.
The rental registry program will not eliminate the hazard.
And I think Domenico in a district race would have won.
So that was written on May
at large.
Oh, hold on. Let's talking about the rental registry. I want to catch this.
Acting Chief Dyer, fire department, and that was a letter in support of the rental registry. I cannot stress how frustrating it is that we're doing everything and anything possible at this moment in time to chip away at a policy that is the bare minimum to protect the health and safety of our most vulnerable residents. So when I read that we want to exempt multifamily units, it triggers for me a desire to paint a picture as to what we're talking about. So there's a total of 22,000 units in Worcester. 31% of our housing stock was built before 1939, so that includes multifamily units mostly. There's over 50,000 rental units in Worcester by the Inspectional Services estimation. When you look at the American Community Survey data, these are the folks that are renting in our city. 58% of Worcester residents rent. The median income is roughly $56,000. That's just for the city of Worcester. 75% of renters in Worcester are severely cost burdened, meaning that they pay more than 30%, upwards of 40% on their income on rent and utilities. So exempting a total of 22,000 units between the 3 to 9 units, buildings, completely defeats the purpose of having a rental registry in the first place. These are the units where the large swath of our renters rent and live in. These are the units that Chief Dyer is referring to in the fires that have happened, in the catastrophes that we saw, as in the case of Mill Street, Gate Street, and others. The entire premise of this rental registry is to protect, to understand our housing stock, to protect our residents, and to gauge exactly who is owning properties in Worcester and how we can make sure that these properties are abiding by the minimum sanitary standard as outlined in the Massachusetts Code. These inspections are happening once every 5 years. We're not even talking about every single year. It's once in 5 years. I have heard the city manager and the commissioner say that they are going to prioritize the buildings that are mostly in code violations. I don't know why we would want to outsource the work of our inspectional services to third-party licensed vendors when we have the capability, as we've heard over and over again, to conduct services and inspections once every 5 years. I feel it's really unfair to the staff to put additional administrative burdens, which hiring and licensing and reviewing reports from third-party vendors would require us to do. I'm just really baffled. I'm going to just read a few things that I have found to be troublesome. In May of 2023, 3 fires in multifamily Deckers left more than 20 people displaced. Prescott, Mason, Canterbury Streets. November 13th, Cohasset Street, 2 people were rescued from the 3rd floor. According to the Worcester Fire Department, the fire displaced 8 people. In January 2024, 8 people were displaced as a result of an attic fire on Waverly Street, a 3-story residential building. In February 24, 2 people were displaced from Norwood Street fire in a 6-unit apartment. Why on earth would we want to exclude a large swath of our multifamily units where a lot of our vulnerable renters live from this rental registry? I am completely baffled at what kind of commitment we're making to our residents. So when I read those orders in the Economic Development Committee, and when I read this order from Councilor Russell, I am just really frustrated at how much we're trying to weaken this rental registry. Not a single person, or maybe a few people on this council, raised their hand and said that they wanted to support the changes that the community asked for the inclusionary zoning. We did everything possible in our power to weaken the ADU so that we couldn't have units in certain parts of the city.
It's so refreshing to hear somebody just say true
I am
things
just
that they mean.
very frustrated as to why we're tying the hands of our city manager and his staff to do the bare minimum to protect our residents. And that is precisely the reason why the words of Chief Dyer ring quite resonate with me. I'm confident that it will have a significant impact on the safety and well-being of Worcester residents. Why are we going against experts? And why are we going against the advice and the support of the Worcester Fire Department Chief? I don't understand it. I will oppose this order, and I will continue to speak very loudly on behalf of our residents who need us to do everything possible on their behalf.
Councilor Russell?
Mr. Chairman, I know this is an item that we talked,
Yeah, there's a little bit of a lag.
about as a spectator at the.
Yeah, sometimes,
committee,
like,
so I didn't want to really go into it at length.
we
but
could refresh it,
As a
but
response to my.
Yeah, you tell
rather,
me.
No, I'd rather let's
I feel
stick
as
with it
though
for now.
I need to.
I want to hear.
First of
what
all,
they're
these
saying.
3 items that came straight out of the Boston ordinance are items that are very specific. First of all, the first one, owner-occupied units under 6 units. This is something that Councilor King talked about in the Economic Development Committee a couple of years ago to make it easier for folks that own their own properties and live in it to deal with this. There was some movement on the part of the registration process from the administration, but there wasn't movement on the inspection part of it. In the Boston ordinance, there is clearly, and I understand in Boston, there's a lot more 6-unit buildings. Councilor Farrell Carlson made a comment at her committee meeting that she wouldn't be in favor of 6 units either. She would only be in favor of maybe 3 units and below. But Mr. Chairman, one of the reasons why this council talked about the rental registry was to deal with fires and the people that passed away in the fires, including our residents and including our firefighters. And I think that when we're worried about hoarders and we're worried about fire hazards, I would think that we could trust a person who's sleeping in the house that they don't want to have a fire hazard. And I think that the people in the city of Boston, when they wrote that ordinance and when they have that ordinance going forward with 6 units or less, because in Boston, there are a lot of properties that might have 6 units that are owner occupied, that we could trust those owner occupieds to do it. No more than if they're going to come into my house on Dolly Drive where I live in my single family house and go through my kitchen cabinets to see how I keep my kitchen neat or to see how what's a fire hazard in my house.
To see how many cans of herring I have.
That's why, in my opinion, I thought the Boston ordinance was correct in having that item. Mr. Chairman, the second item, next item I'll talk about is the tenant. If a tenant denies access, which they have every right to do under Massachusetts law, tenants don't have to have, if people want to come in to their units, this is going to be a real problem. And to hold the landlords responsible if a tenant is exercising his or her rights that they don't want to have inspectors in their property because they might have to take a day off from work to do it, because they don't want people in their apartment going through their bedroom to measure to see if their bedroom is big enough, which is in this code, to see if the sanitary code, to see if the size of the bedroom is enough, to go through each one of their rooms, to go into their bathroom to see if they cleaned their tub properly and whether their mold is there or not. If they
know what he's talking about.
That's not what they talk about when they're talking about mold. They're not talking about people not cleaning properly. You fucking
and it isn't fair to
dumb
the
shit.
property owners to be held responsible.
They see the
if those
talking
tenants
points have
wanna
been
exercise
established.
that right to
This
deny
is the same
access.
shit that guy
And
was
under
talking
the
about during
Boston
public
ordinance,
commentary.
The city's charging you money to clean your tub.
They offer an exclusion that if a tenant, they say that a landlord shall not encourage, but that if a tenant does deny access, that it gives them another year to deal with it, to deal with the tenant.
So then the landlord just says,
another year. That was a reasonable thing.
makes
that
it
I think
clear that
should be
they're
in our
there to
ordinance,
deny
And I'd like
access.
to know from our administration why it wasn't, if it was considered even. And the last part of that has a lot to do with the previous item, the independent inspections. Right now, to deal with lead paint safety in Massachusetts, any unit that you have is supposed to be inspected for lead. We could call the city of Worcester's code department. I believe they have a program where you can have them come and inspect for lead, or property owner can call their own lead paint inspector who's licensed and certified, who provides a certified.
How is it
endorsed
not a
that's
conflict of
filed
interest
on record with the state
for
and
George
with the
Russell,
city,
who's a
and
professional
gives information about what conditions they
speak on
found there.
this?
And they could come on a weekend. They could come at night. They could come when it's convenient for the tenant and when it's convenient for the landlord. If you Google landlord registry Boston inspections, you get a bunch of private companies that come up that are all authorized and licensed to do this kind of work. So I think it's something, and are we going to be paying people overtime? Are we going to be telling every tenant they have to take a day off from work to have everybody parading through their apartments?
Yeah, George
That's the
Russell's a
question
realtor.
we're asking. We're not talking about fire safety.
If there's a
We're
parade
talking
in my
about
apartment, you
how to
bet I'm
get this
taking the
done
day off.
properly
That sounds
and
awesome.
How to deal with it and how to look at a community like Boston, a large community, not to look at a small community that might have had this, but a large community and how they dealt with this since 2012. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilor Bergman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to be brief on each of these points. With respect to the owner-occupied properties, I don't recall if any of the tragedies we've had in Worcester were in owner-occupied properties.
Refresh on
My
mode.
recollection is that these were absentee landlords for the vast majority of them, if not all of them. However,
Yeah, he's just gonna say some fucking bullshit. We can take a second.
Yeah, Bergman sucks. He stinks. Travis, I can try to host it on mine and see if it works better. My internet's been pretty good.
Yeah, if you want to try it.
All right.
Throw it back up for now.
more safe. Now, we have 40,000 plus properties to be evaluated. If this registry goes forward, if we can eliminate a certain number of them that we know to be safer than others and take the resources we have and go through with the time we have less properties, make sure those properties are reached, not in 5 years, not in 4 years, perhaps in 3 years, because we've exempted safer properties that are owner occupied. I think that makes good sense. I not only think that doesn't.
All right, we can do
I think it strengthens the ordinance because the properties that are not owner occupied,
switcheroo.
that I would argue are more.
Oh, and I have it muted.
Owner occupied. So with respect to number one, I would strongly disagree that it weakens the ordinance. With respect to item number two, Council Russell had mentioned it. We let lead paint inspectors go into properties. A number of individuals who get rental assistance, their properties have to be inspected by Section 8 inspectors. They come in, they do a search, thorough search and review of items that have to meet code, and they sign off or don't sign off. If they don't sign off, the items have to be fixed. I don't see any distinction with why that can't be accepted. And again, if we're relying on experts, I'll wait to see what Commissioner Spencer has to say about that. But I would suggest that some version of an outside inspector that signs an inspection under the pains and penalties of perjury should be acceptable. With respect to item number three, this is one I'd like to address. I don't think it's been addressed from the angle I'm about to address it in. We haven't had a report yet from the law department. I expect we will at some point with respect to the constitutionality of what this rental ordinance is trying to accomplish by allowing for these inspections. But we had discussions last year about drones. And there was a segment of my colleagues who felt that allowing drones to fly over homeless encampments was an invasion of privacy. And I find it incredibly ironic, and it's very inconsistent, that it's okay to go into somebody's apartment without any probable cause to suggest that there's been anything done wrong. And that's not an invasion of privacy, but flying a drone over a public
because the fucking point of flying the drone over there is to forcibly remove them from where they are, you fucking asshole.
I would say lastly that as public servants also sometimes have to be reminded that compromise sometimes is a way to get things done. If we sit in ideological caves or positions, nothing's going to get passed. So
your whole life is an ideological fucking
the position that this is all or nothing, for or against landlords or for or against tenants, that we should work together to try to get a rental ordinance that rental registry ordinance that everybody can accept as satisfactory.
Okay, Councilor, Member Carlson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I feel compelled to rise again.
To lie.
Because the sheer notion that this committee made a decision to go against the city manager or the commissioner or the fire department, I find extremely offensive. I will tell you that the chief was at our meeting, and the chief said to me when the meeting was over that he thought that the items were fair. he thought that they were good items. This committee isn't taking any piece or part of this lightly. This committee was tasked
Make it
with,
personal.
we
Yep,
got
go
this
ahead.
sent to us by this council. It's our job in the Economic Development Committee to vet it, no differently than those before me.
Petty's such a fucking
That's
asshole
what
for
we're
putting her
doing.
back on
The chief
economic
was
development.
here.
Yeah.
The commissioner was here. Again, we're taking the things that we've been given. There is nobody on this committee who is saying that the heck with what the city manager says or
Oh, yeah, that was
dismissing
fun.
what the fire chief has said. This committee, and myself included, has said over and over the reason for this rental registry and how this was born. It is our job. It is our job.
Very interesting to me too
make
that
sure we're doing right
that
by
Mo
the
Bergman,
people in this city.
Mo Bergman
And yes, I
wholeheartedly
have the
supported the
utmost
drones
respect
being
for the
used
city manager.
to hunt
But
down
quite
homeless people,
frankly, it is this
and
city
is now
council's
using that
job
argument.
to vet those things that come
I
before
love when people
us,
make an ironic
to make
argument
sure
like that,
we're doing the
and
right thing by
the
the
inverse
people
of it
who
just
live in
exposes
this city.
them.
In this Economic
Nightmarish
Development
cruelty.
Committee
Would that be
met
considered a bad
for
faith
over
argument?
2 hours
I
to
believe
Yeah,
talk
Mo Bergman's
about
never made a
this
good faith
rental
argument in his life.
registry. And it is our job to look at these different things. We all know about the fires that took place in this city. We all know about the problem properties that are in this city. There isn't a counselor in this room, or including the mayor, who doesn't know about the problem properties in this city. And that is what we're looking to go after. We're trying to make sure that people are safe. But there is nothing wrong with us as a city council and as a committee to look and do our due diligence and do our homework. And as Councilor Russell said, and look, I disagree with his order that he put forward, and that's fine. That's what we're here to do, is to vet it. As Councilor King said, he put an order through, which looked just like,
All
quite
Attell did
frankly,
was give an opinion on how
the
you vetted
orders
it.
that
Why are you so
came
mad?
through tonight. Again, nobody's trying to
Yeah.
minimize,
I
and
was thinking the
nobody's
same
trying
thing.
to
People that tell the
weaken
truth really
anything.
feel the need
We're
to yell like
trying
this.
to get to a point where we
Her voice is
can
cracking.
do
She's so
right by the
pissed.
residents here in the city of Worcester and adopt this rental registry that we have. So, Mr. Chairman, I look forward to our next meeting for the in economic development for this rental registry. And I look forward at the next meeting coming out with a rental registry that we all can
Like you're literally
live with. And
on purpose
hopefully it
trying
is
to weaken
something
it.
that
You're weakening
works
it
for
so you can,
all
as you
of our
just said, live
residents
with.
here in the city. But in terms of this committee trying to minimize what the manager is doing or minimizing what the chief said, the chief was sitting in this room when we had our meeting. And I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we're going to send that to ED. We have a roll call. Council King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I want to just begin by saying there's a lot at stake here. The last thing we want to do is have two separate standards for housing, one for poor people and one for rich people.
Oh, no.
I think we all want a
I hope
standard
he's not going where I think he's going.
that's acceptable. I think we all want that. We all have different variations of it, but we all want it.
No, we don't. Kenny didn't even know there
We
was a
don't want
sanitary
folks
code until
choosing
3 weeks ago.
between
Shut up.
complaining about their cold water and a shelter. To some folks, that's what it comes down to. Now, at the same time, we want something that's enforceable, and we want something, Mr. Chairman, that the city can deliver on. and I brought this issue up multiple times. I'm not going to rehash it with the 110s, but I brought it up multiple times. Hence my order to take a look at our operations and our enforcement. Not in lieu of a rental registry, but in order to do better what we should be doing, Mr. Chairman. We have to leverage that data. Mr. Chairman, there was a comment earlier that if you're passionate, essentially, if you're passionate and you stick to your values, that perhaps you live in a cave. We are not cave people here, Mr. Chairman. We are elected officials of conscience and character. I want to make that very clear. Now, I have disagreements with folks, just about everybody here at one point or another, and I think we all
Can you just fucking
kind of govern that
punch
way.
Mo Bergman and not do this every week?
But when I think about the rental registry, again, we have to be able to
fuck or
be
fight
held
already,
accountable
Jesus.
in terms of our operations. And I'm not confident whatsoever that our department can deliver. We haven't delivered on the 110s. We haven't delivered on those 5-year inspections. What I'd really like to see,
The rental
Mr.
registry
Chairman,
is how
a
you
troubled
pay for
building
more
initiative.
inspectors.
When I asked
Fucking
questions
geniuses on this.
weeks ago about how we're tracking our problem properties, the answer I got was that previously it was by alphabet, and currently we don't have anything to report to us. We don't know how far we are behind already on the 5-year inspections called 110s, Mr. Chairman. I'm interested in a troubled building initiative where we're looking at folks, as I mentioned earlier, pertaining to LLCs who have multiple holdings and are having multiple issues. I'd like to see a system where if someone comes in and they have multiple holdings and there's a complaint, they're looking at all their holdings. That makes sense. That's reasonable.
The rental
That's within
registry
reason, Mr. Chairman.
is a fee.
Now,
fee goes towards
I also
hiring
know
more inspectors.
that the research on rental registries does show that when enforcement is where it needs to be, there is a positive impact on the conditions of rental housing. I also know from research that there's a modest increase in homelessness and rent increases. And the folks that have
Where
done
did
the
you read
research have weighed that and have come to the conclusion that you continue with enforcement because the modest increase doesn't outweigh the overall impact. I'm aware of all of that, Mr. Chairman. That being said, we have to figure out a way to get to those problem properties, Mr. Chairman. This particular order that we have here before me, I'm particularly disappointed in. Yes, I voted in support of the owner occupied. I talked about that, last year and prior. But this particular order for me, Mr. Chairman, is sort of to me, let me just throw anything and see what sticks against the wall. I do not support 6 units, owner occupied exemption. With regards to privatizing and the prior motions, privatizing and some of the aspects of a rental registry inspections, the research that I've seen, and I could be wrong, there could be more, there's always research on both sides, but the research I've seen, why I supported that coming out of committee, was the research that I have seen shows that that's a way for municipalities who cannot execute on the expectations of a rental registry to execute the expectations of the rental registry. Now, I'm sure there's some research that shows otherwise. I haven't seen it yet. When I see it, I'll be against it. If that is the case, Mr. Chairman, what I do want to say is that I know we have some staunch advocates here that have been supporting rental registry for a long time. And we should not try to demean people and associate them with cave folks. That being said, Mr. Chairman, I will not be voting in support of this. This is a catch-all that we're just simply throwing against the wall. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So motion is to send this to economic development. And I'll be clear too, I don't agree with everything in this order, but as Councilmember Carlson has said, she doesn't agree with everything in this order either. But this idea is to come back and discuss it in committee and bring it back. So
here he goes.
And I like to really understand from the city manager the independent.
That definitely said cow son.
I think that might be helpful. I'm not sure yet. And also the part about landlords prohibited from encouraging tenants to deny access. So I like to see that in writing. And
yeah, how do you do that?
So it makes sense to me, but I'm not 100% there yet. So I expect the committee to do their job and come back with their recommendation. So the motion is send this to committee. We'll do a roll call.
Council Bergman?
Yes.
Council Calorio?
Yes.
Council Haji?
No.
Council King?
No.
Councilmember Carlson?
No.
Council Nguyen?
No.
Council Ojeda?
Carlson voted against it?
Pasillo?
No.
Council Russell?
Yes.
Council Toomey?
No.
And Mayor Petty?
Yes, no. Okay. Okay.
Right.
So now it's the next item. Request city manager to provide council the report concerning how many developments have been subject to the city's inclusionary zoning ordinance since its approval. So the report should include a breakdown of how many units.
Well, that's nice. George Russell's attempt to weaken the rental industry failed.
The number of accessible units.
Andy voted no. Toomey voted no.
That's a
Option.
I have a question on this one, Mr. Chairman. I don't apologize for it. So when we embarked upon
sassy
zoning, one of the things that I put forward was a motion regarding feasibility study. As it relates to
How did Donna Calorio vote? Did anybody catch?
My understanding was that we were required to do that anyway by regulation.
No, I didn't catch that. I thought she said yes, but I'm not sure.
How long has it been since we completed this inclusionary zone process? Was it a year ago? I can't recall how long ago it was. But I know that feasibility study
Calorio,
is something I held off on.
Russell,
I didn't want to
Bergman.
try to force that
in favor,
prolong and prevent
so
inclusionary zoning.
But I'm honestly
I
not
also
sure.
know that feasibility study would show exactly
Confirming
what sorts of
everybody
and what level of affordability is most applicable and most.
When Candy voted no, I was very
advantageous
surprised.
for a city like Worcester. So my first question is, how long has it been? And the second question is,
I think
what is the
that
feasibility
Candy
study
voted
to
no
achieve?
by accident.
Sure. Through the chair to the councilor, the inclusionary zoning ordinance was adopted by the council on May 9th of 2023. And as part of our development of that, we certainly did our own analysis and speaking with developers and affordable housing developers, both affordable as well as market rate. There have been a number of inclusionary zoning ordinances across the Commonwealth. So we also looked at those studies that had been done in other communities and taking into account the fact that their rent structures at the time might have been a little bit different than Worcester's rent structures. But we're familiar with our rent structures, so we were taking that into
Peter
account.
Duns in that city.
And if you remember, there was definitely a level of
look how big
urgency from the administration as well as the council to
Did it get huge?
put the
For a second,
inclusionary
when you
zoning
were adjusting the
ordinance
volume,
forward.
it got
So to your earlier
gigantic.
point, if we
It's
had
gigantic
taken,
on my
which in some
screen,
cases is 6
and
months or
I just kept
longer,
making it bigger
to
because it
do that
doesn't
exact
really
exhaustive
reflect the
study
same way on this
beyond
screen.
that a staff level and hire like an outside
Interesting.
consultant. We could have been talking about inclusionary zoning today rather than last year. What we have been doing in terms of compliance with the MBTA communities law is because our ordinance exceeds an affordability requirement of 10% of the project
said no,
at 80% AMI. If you remember, we have a sliding scale of 15% of a project at 80 AMI. That requires us to do an economic feasibility analysis to submit to the state in terms of the ordinance not inhibiting housing production. So there's a concern at the state level that these kinds of restrictive zoning ordinances could be inhibiting housing production. And the goal right
concern
now
at the state level.
across the
Who-
state from the
who
Commonwealth is
could
to
be having
increase
that
housing
concern?
production.
Perhaps
we have
it's
a draft of
former
that.
city
It's
manager
being
Ed
done,
Augustus.
in partnership with the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission. They have some expertise on staff, and they've been also doing some conversations with developers of different sizes to have a Worcester-specific report. So we're reviewing that draft with CMRPC right now and refining that. We'll have to submit that to the state this summer, and we'll also provide a copy of that to the city council. It's actually my intention when we follow up with this report for this council order, that we'll actually include a copy of that draft economic feasibility analysis for the council. Obviously, as we think about real estate development, generally, inclusionary zoning is one lever that needs to be considered. If you remember when we started talking about inclusionary zoning in the city of Worcester, interest rates were 3%. So there are a lot of other macroeconomic factors that generally just affect the feasibility of a
and
real
now
estate
that they're
project.
up
Generally,
closer to 10, no one's
and
ever going to build
inclusionary
Worcester
zoning
ever
is
again.
one of those
And
levers or
it
one
was
of
a
those
moot
factors
point from the start.
that need to be considered in terms of feasibility of a project.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So there's a draft of a feasibility study. Is that what I'm understanding that to be through the chair?
Mr. Dunn?
Through the chair to the council, again, CMRPC, the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission, is the group that's working through that with us. I think the state appreciates when it is a third party rather than a municipality justifying their own ordinance that they've created. So we have that third party that is engaged in that, and we are reviewing that draft to go through the content within it to make sure that all of the things that they're including in that draft is accurate, up to date. There's a lot of data involved in that. There are obviously a lot of assumptions that go in with any feasibility analysis. So testing those assumptions, making sure that those assumptions are valid, or at least reasonable, because everybody could come up with a different financial projection that includes various assumptions. One person's assumptions might be different than another consultant's assumptions. And so making sure that we're testing those to make sure that they have that sort of validity or stress test. And so we're working through that with CMRPC. And as soon as that is finalized for both submission to the state as well as for our community to read, we will transmit that to the city council.
And through the chair to the administration, what's the projected time frame on that? And has that draft been completely submitted? And are we in the process of responding to that? Have we already responded and it's with CMRBC or PC at this time through the chair?
Through the chair to the councilor, we're in its second kind of phase of revisions right now. There were some comments that we had.
That's awesome
that
that Tu's just checked out
to be updated
on Twitter
to ensure its accuracy in terms of local market data, and again the various pieces of content that are included in that. The time frame for completing that will be this summer. I would estimate hopefully providing that to the state as well as the city council probably in like the June sort of time frame. So within hopefully the next 30 to 40 days.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion that update that was just verbally provided be given in the form of report on an update on where we are with the feasibility study. Just so the public knows, a feasibility study allows municipalities to design policy that meets affordability goals and minimizes the risk of dampening development, Mr. Chairman. We also know there's best practices for inclusionary housing feasibility studies, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion that we get to this council best practices for inclusionary housing feasibility studies, Mr. Chairman. We need to make sure that this particular inclusionary zoning is on point, and I appreciate my colleagues' order. It's a timely order. It's a reasonable order. And my additional question to the administration is, my understanding was that we would be getting, I don't know if it was quarterly, biannually, but from what I recall, we were supposed to be getting updates at some interval with regards to inclusionary zoning through the chair. If that's not accurate, fine, but that's my recollection. So I want to know through the chair to the administration, what are those timestamps, and are we in compliance with providing those reports to the council, or are we out of compliance through the chair?
It's a very strange way
the
that
chair to the councilor,
procedural rule of having to go through the chair has just led into
periodic reports to the
lexicon
council. I think
and
it was
like manner
intended
of
to be
speech of every city
potentially
councilor.
as frequently as annually.
Really
I don't
gets
think
in
it
the
was
way
going to
of
be
being clear and direct.
more frequently than annually, and it could have been
I feel like King
more
uses
like
it more than
biannually.
others.
With the theme was that it would be
Yeah,
sort of a
but
living
they all
ordinance to be
Agreed, it
evaluated
hurts, and it hurts
periodically
to listen to.
see if it's doing what we had hoped it would do. If there are challenges that need to be addressed, obviously the general market dynamics have changed, certainly, since we proposed the initial framework. So I do think that the request for this information is on point with that intended schedule, and it's timely, and we look forward to sharing the current status of projects.
Yeah, Worcester City Council is
including also,
pretty
as I
interesting
mentioned, the
from
feasibility
a,
study.
I
We
guess,
do
a
know that,
linguistic point of view.
It's
like the corporate
development cycle
Memphis
is
of
somewhat
speaking.
cyclical as well.
Like somebody like
so as the council knows, there have been a
Eric
number of
Batista.
projects that
And
have
then Kenny
either
Carlson is
continued to come to the planning board for extensions of time, or maybe they have now
Trump
just started construction that have all
put through
were
the
all
filter
permitted
of,
before
like a
inclusionary
Massachusetts
was adopted in May of 2023. So I think
Democrat
we've been
union person,
allowing some time to get a
It's like-
sampling of projects to give us that data and see how it's working, because again, that development cycle tends to happen as the construction seasons approach. So we've really only had less than one construction year under our belt with that ordinance on the books. So I think it is a timely report that we'll be happy to share with the council.
Yeah, and the important thing to remember too is that a guy like Peter Dunn has functionally way more power over what happens at City Hall than anybody on the City Council.
Time frame for timely reports to the council, Mr. Chairman. While I appreciate my colleagues' motion, I think that we should come to expect these sorts of reports, and would love to.
Like everyone kind of does just
that perhaps would
sort of pretend that the City Council matters,
to weigh in
and
practices related.
that's just a cultural norm that could be challenged.
Sorry, feasibility studies as well as a time frame.
Like honestly, what if every progressive just didn't run again, and no progressives ran for City Council, and there was like some sort of joint statement about how the City Council is useless and fruitless?
Administration. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And
Thank you.
not
Okay,
worth
so
paying attention to.
We'll send that to me. I just a quick question.
Then the cranks are running unopposed in the
Who's
sleepy
report
election.
you provided in housing
Like,
about a month
kind of
ago
makes it
that
look
had
like
detail AMI in it. I know it wasn't just on
their stupid appointments are not worth paying attention to, and they have to answer that instead of a challenge from the left.
What we've done.
And that's a
Sure,
harder
Mr. Chairman. So one of the
question.
things that we do on a
That's
biannual
a harder
basis,
question to
typically
answer
in
than
March
just
and
bludgeoning
September,
the rest
is
of
a report on
Why are
housing
you
and neighborhood
useless?
activities. And
You
so
know?
really that's a report that
Yeah, but what if they
all
prove
of
they're
the
not,
various
and you're
programs
not
and
in the room?
accomplishments of what we administer in the
Yeah,
housing
I
division.
guess.
So it's
I
really
guess it's a
focused
gamble.
on
It's the gamble. I'm
affordable
not saying
housing,
that that's
type
what
initiatives.
the
We
outcome
do,
is, but
at that same time
it's the
frame, give
gamble.
an update on the HDIP program, which, as you know, is an incentive program.
But there's
for,
also the reality
market
where
rate
they
housing.
scramble
And they can
to
mix
prove
income. So
that they're not
obviously,
useless
moving forward, HDIP projects would have that
and
mix of incomes
end up
to comply with
doing
inclusionary
more
zoning.
progressive
But that's really
things.
a report that's focused on affordable housing production as well as
Because
preservation.
the incentive
so it
isn't
doesn't
to
really
dig
get into
down
a lot
on
of
a
the
progressive minority
details
anymore.
about
It's to pad your
development
ego
projects
with
that have come
feeling
before the
like
planning
people
board that might be
want you
subject
to
to
matter.
inclusionary zoning. So I do think that
I don't
report
know.
has doesn't have that particular focus right now. So this will be a good supplement to what the council already has in terms of what we've been.
Something's got to
working
change on that
specifically
game
around
theory
affordable
level.
housing production.
You know,
Do you have any
like
idea how many?
Mr. Chairman, would you like to take the floor?
No, I'm pretty good. I think I'm done.
Uh,
I won't talk the talk.
The number of projects is certainly in the single digits right now in terms of what would be subject to inclusionary zoning. We can include some commentary. We're going to do some of that analysis, as I mentioned before. The inclusionary zoning is really one factor that's influencing our market right now. So there are a variety of other factors, as we've seen in various coverage for projects that have been requesting more time from the
That's
planning
so
board. If they had
cool.
even had a project
They're
that was
like,
permitted
oh,
with the
inclusionary
planning board
zoning
before
will,
inclusionary zoning
you
was
know,
adopted. There's significant challenges right now.
That's
in
how we're
terms
going to
of,
fix the affordable
cost of
housing
construction,
crisis.
the cost of capital,
The number of projects is
basically
in the
interest
single
rates,
digits right now.
and really what's I think not talked about as much in the public kind of domain is just the general availability of capital. There are still liquidity issues with lenders. There are a number of lenders that are effectively not really open for business right now as it relates to commercial real estate. So multifamily housing would be considered a commercial real estate debt instrument. And so one of the other big challenges right now is just the sheer availability of both debt and equity to support project financing right now.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm going to take this item. We're going to send it to the manager.
Along with the motions, all those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Request manager to provide council with a report that the inventory is all electric and other motor vehicles, all similar equipment such as construction equipment and trucks. Said portion include but unlimited with the year.
Yeah,
make,
we
and
talk about
equipment
that from
value
time
of
to
each
time
piece of
about like
equipment, which
how
include leased vehicles.
many
Such
more
vehicles still
things can be
exist.
done if you had like
Mr. Chairman, can we
neighborhood
take
committees,
I, J,
uh,
and K
different
all
parts
at
of the
the same
city,
time?
or
Sure. Request
just
manager to provide council with a
just
report detailing all
less
new city vehicles.
less
including
discussion
trucks,
and more
construction
just
vehicles that have been
people
purchased or
empowered
leased
to
since 2022.
do things.
As well as
But
the accounts were being used to fund said vehicles.
there's always
And
going to
report
be at
concerning
some point
advances
there's going to
disadvantages
be a
department
council
staff
of some
department
kind
reimbursement
just
for
talking
mileage
shit.
if they prefer to use their own vehicles. Request manager to consider placing surplus vehicles on the public bid website. Councilor Russell.
Mr. Chairman, these items, I'll just make it real fast. These
what
items
is
all
what
have
we're
to do,
lacking
obviously,
here
with,
is like
vehicle inventory.
what is the thing that you could push for
Can't
that would
remember the last time I
tangibly
saw
benefit
inventory. I know I asked Mr. McGurty
completely
about the specific
apolitical,
because the
checked
auditor
out,
has
but
this
nevertheless
readily available. So I would ask
disenfranchise
that items
people's
H
lives.
and I be
What
sent to the auditor.
even if that thing
for,
is
a
entirely
report to give us
impracticable
that
and the wonks
information.
tell you can't do it,
And on item J, which
Like-
is just something for the administration to consider. What the
fucking
pros
rent
and
control,
cons would
man.
be.
Like,
Obviously,
even though it's
insurance,
illegal
issues and all that, if it's something that might be
by state
readily,
law, it's like
worthwhile talking
something
about.
like
It's
of
something
that
worth consider.
level.
I know other communities
Right.
do that. Some people, I know in the state, some people pay state agencies, give a stipend even for use of their cell phone, a private cell phone, as opposed to giving them another cell phone. Just things as we go forward in the budget process to be thinking about. And item K, Mr. Chairman, is an item that I've had many conversations with the administration about.
Right, but try to review.
And I know the Public Works Department attempted some use of the auction sites, the
I don't know,
public
but I
auction
don't-
sites, as opposed to just listing our excess property for sale on our own website and only having a couple of.
It would take
people
a
put in
lot of
sealed
political
bid.
pressure
I
to
think
even
that,
open
all
a charter
of the-
review,
Anything that the
but
city of Worcester is ready to trade in or to
it's like
sell.
water
should
in
be
a cup,
placed on
man.
an open
If you
public auction.
pour
to
the
bring
water
highest and
into
best
the
dollar
same
amount
sized
for
but
the
differently
taxpayers
shaped
who paid
cup,
for the item
it's
in the
still
first
going to be
place. So I would ask
the political
again,
culture
that H and I go to the auditor.
will adapt
for the
to
report,
whatever
and that J
form
and
of
K
government
go
it's
to the
in.
administration.
Okay, those in favor, opposed, so ordered. We are on L. Request standing committee on municipal operations, review the rules of city council, conduct of council meeting, including but not limited to Rule 21, 22, 35.
Oh, this is kind of a
Determine
funny
whether
order.
amendments to the rules of city council to better ensure all speaking portions of city council meetings done efficiently and in a
Colorio and decorum.
procedurally accurate manner. Council Colorio.
As it reads.
Oh, no
Committee,
explanation.
All those in favor, opposed, so
Mr. Chairman.
ordered. Council King.
Thank you. Just wanted some clarification on this to the clerk, to the chair. If you could speak to those particular Rule 21, 22, and 35. What exactly will we be changing to the chair?
Yeah, for sure. That's how I heard it.
Through
too.
chair to the
Sally.
council. So Rule 21 is no speaking for more than 5 minutes when it comes to the council members. You have 5 minutes, and then usually the mayor can give you some additional times if the manager is the speaker or somebody from the administration. That is something that the mayor keeps a time on. And then Rule 22 is personal privilege to rise with the permission of the chair to.
Yeah, man,
provide
that's
administration.
That's an important point. They can make line edits,
I'm
basically.
sorry, the no speaking more than twice. I'm sorry. That was
okay.
24. My apologies. So Rule 22 is no speaking more than twice. And then Rule 35 is when an item first is considered, usually it's referred to the standing committee without any discussion.
That's 35.
Correct.
35 is first consideration of what is found by council.
I'm pretty sure they can. I've only seen one counselor try to do it, Connie Lukes, but like
presented by a council says usually referred to a standing committee of the city council or the city manager
She tried. I don't know. I guess I have to refresh myself on how that works. But
Can't
So,
they? Is
Rule
it they can
35
make
says first
cuts?
considered
They can
orders
cut
filed
things
by
out, but they
councilors.
can't change
considered
things
council
or
order
add.
You can
before city
cut
council, the file of items shall be
specific
recognized,
lines
introduced item.
in the budget.
And it also states that.
Oh, so it goes to
intention
him
of
as
the
a
filer is
consideration.
to,
Wow.
Provide, refer to a committee of the city council or the city manager or any other individual body, the chair should. permit
And
no
like that
related
one time
section
I saw them
recognize the
even try to do
councilor
it, it didn't pass. So I've
who
like
wishes to
never
oppose
seen
the item
the
or
city
request
council like
clarification on
actually
the
try to
item,
cut something from the budget.
or to amend a motion or referral.
It really is so fake. I mean, it doesn't have to be as fake as it
Chairman,
is, but it's so fake.
I do know that our 5 minutes, our second 5 minutes, we've been through that often on this council. You know, the first consideration of orders filed by councilors, personal privilege. We've been over all of these things. And my understanding is that the chair kind of sits with an overview of all of this. Is that right, through the chair to the clerk? The chair of the city council, whoever's chairing.
Through the council to, through the chair to the council, it feels like I'm being tested on the rules tonight. But yes, the chair has the overview of the council meeting. And there's
Nico, be the mayor.
rule in there. I don't know if the solicitor has it in front of him.
Nico
It
for
gives the
dictator,
chair the
lifetime
ability
appointment.
to rule on most of the procedurals.
Thank you. And through the chair to the clerk or the solicitor, my understanding is that that discretion that's levied or not levied is to the discretion of the chair. But in addition to that, if in fact the body disagrees with the chair's ruling, my understanding is that the body can contest the ruling of the chair by vote.
Body,
Is that
yaddy,
accurate?
yaddy.
To the chair to either the clerk or the
Yeah, right.
solicitor?
Through the chair to the counselor. So yes, if there is a majority vote of the body, they can.
Yeah, I'm fine with them
overrule the ruling of the
skipping
chair. Number one, also,
city manager search
they
if
can ask for
they
clarification.
just hire
There's
Nico
also
to
a
do it.
section in the rules that states that the
Nico
body
for
itself
city
can
manager,
review
give
the rules
him
of the city council from time.
broad
That was
executive
my question.
authority, a la Star Wars episode.
In addition
3.
to that,
And let him just delete the city council.
in addition to that,
I thought it was frozen.
it's my understanding that as
Yeah, I
well,
thought so
my
too.
experience, that
I think he was just
the
he just
standing
froze
still.
for a second.
chair can motion or someone else can motion to suspend the rules if they see fit. Is that right, through the chair?
Mr. Clerk?
Through the chair to the council, correct. There is a rule in there that the council's.
Instead of
council
running,
taking votes to suspend the rules.
Stunt candidacy, we should just run a
You know,
write-in
I'm
campaign.
a bit miffed at this one. To be honest with you.
An unasked for
And,
write-in
I know
campaign.
there's been
Nico,
efforts in the
for,
past
like,
by
for
different
mayor.
folks to limit our participation here. So
Imagine
for the
he
record,
wins off of that, and
in
then he has to
opposition,
explain that he just doesn't
for the
want the
record.
job. It's like a worse job
And
than
I'm
the
going to
one he
hold this,
has.
Mr. Chairman. I want to try to figure out what the actual
Yeah,
intent is.
no, thank you.
Is the
Yeah.
intent to simply.
No, I
limit
like
the
being the
rules,
clerk.
or is this a specific?
I make a lot more money than the mayor.
To limit
Yeah,
the
and I have a much more
participation
peaceful
by
life.
elected officials.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's hold on to privilege. What's that? Okay. We are on next time. Request manager, request Commissioner of Transportation and Mobility to provide council with a traffic study of Bryan Street at the intersection of Holden Street. Determine whether any improvements have been made for traffic flow. Council Priscilla? Proposal ordered. Resolution of the City Council of the City of Worcester does hereby stand in opposition to
let's
proposed
turn and
cuts
burn
to the
at this
proposed
point.
personal care
Yeah,
attendant
we're
program,
turning and burning
which
now.
adversely impacts 6,000 individuals in the Commonwealth.
We got a lot of bulk motions here.
Thank you,
and
Mr.
then
Chairman. I believe some of the
some
language
tabled
recently
under
has
privilege
changed
stuff that I forgot about
in the
until
House and
right
the Senate.
now,
So basically,
which could
since it's
which could be a
changed,
little
ultimately,
ass kicker
we
for
hope the
us.
CCA program maintains the same eligibility criteria and the level of services in fiscal
Except the Sunday
year
needs some shit
2005
sprinkles.
as were available in fiscal year 2000.
There's table under privilege, section 23
Resolution will do a roll call.
is
Roll call.
payment in lieu of
Council
tax
Bergman?
disagreements,
Council Caloria?
which could be a
Council
whole
Hadjian?
Yes.
thing.
Council King?
Yes.
Council
Especially because
Markov?
King held it.
Council Nguyen? Council Ojeda?
Yes.
And then
Council-
Nico's contract
Council Russell?
Yes.
Council Toomey?
Yes.
Mayor
is
Penna?
up there.
Yes, next is a report of the Worcester Regional Research Bureau, appreciating the value of commercial property, significance of commercial real estate. We send that to ED. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. Report to the planning board. Motions to accept 16A. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. 16B to 16F is to refer to the Public Works Committee. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. 17A and B is report to the Committee on Economic Development. Motions was accept. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. 18A and 18B, report to the Committee of Public Health. All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. 19A to 19C, motion to accept and adopt on the roll call. The Committee of Public
Mr.
Works.
Chairman?
Councilor
Did
Russell.
you say E, 19E?
19A, B, and C.
Okay. I'm interested in E.
Okay. And so roll call on those three.
What about 19E is George Russell interested in?
Council Bergman?
Yes.
Council
No, he just
Caloia?
said E,
Yes.
so I
Council
think he's looking
Hajiya?
for ecstasy.
Council King?
Yeah.
I'm interested in
Councilor
E.
Carlson? Council Nguyen? Council Ojeda?
Prince Giao,
Yes.
Council Russell?
Yes.
Council Toomey?
Yes.
installation of streetlights on wooden
19B,
poles.
motions to accept.
Mr. Chairman?
All those in favor, opposed, so ordered. We're on 19E now.
Yes.
And which is report of the Committee on Public Works upon the petition of Councilor Tel Haji on behalf of Prince Gayo, request installation of streetlights in existing.
Oh, is he going to be petty about this because of the Tell item?
Mr. Chairman, also, could we also take D, just so that I'd like to ask the administration to do anything they can to work with this resident. This was a very disappointing story where a person was assessed $13,000, $13,500, and
He's not speaking about the right item.
he turned it into his bank, and they started making payments or whatever. That the timeline had elapsed, and he was due. He would have been given given a discount because of an abatement because of he was on a corner lot, if I remember right, and it was very frustrating because the law department advised us that we couldn't do it because of the timeline had expired. So even though I know legally we have to move to deny it, as we did, I would ask the administration to do anything they can to assist this resident. I know there's someone you met with, Mr. Chairman, individually, and it was a very disappointing thing. It makes me think that how good it is that this council decided to change that whole policy, where if someone is due an abatement or a discount, that they're not billed for it in the beginning. So that's a big plus.
So the motion is send that to the manager for any kind of
Yes.
type of consideration?
Yes.
Okay.
And 19E, Mr. Chairman, during that meeting, we received basically inaccurate information from one of the staff members that told us that private street lights cannot be granted. And that is not accurate either, because we have tons of private streets that have public street lights. I remember one in front of the house that I used to live in on Minerva Street. That's an item that should be approved. Councilor Haji's item on behalf of Prince Gway, I think is the way you pronounce it. So I'd recommend that that's approved personally.
Okay. So the amendment there is to approve
Chairman.
instead of deny? Okay. Council King?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to speak with regards to Glenn Williams. I met him as well. I know he's worked with the Mr. Mayor and the committee and Councilor Russell. And I also want to reiterate, anything we can do to rectify this will make sense. I think that this economic hardship that has occurred is quite frankly a bit unfair, and encouraging the administration to do all that we can to rectify this. Thank you.
Okay. So 19D, I just want to thank Councilor Russell for, we had discussions on 19D for a while, so I appreciate it.
Oh, we're getting there.
So 19D is to send to the city manager to see if any type of consideration can be done.
I'm tired of this shit.
And 19D is the motion is just amended from deny to approve. All those in favor?
He's hiding back here, but Roman's here, everybody.
Council, I think, I don't know if I missed it, but going back to 14.
Hi, Roman.
A,
He's being a tiny, tiny little guy.
don't know if I missed 14A. That's just the communication to the city clerk. I'll send that to Public Works if you like it, or we can put it on file, Council. This is on the speed hump installations. Public Works? Okay,
Yep.
it's the Public Works.
The 5th, Cinco de Mayo was our 1-year anniversary of having
2020A
Roman.
to 20Q, motion is to accept. Those in favor, opposed, so ordered.
Thank you
21A,
for your
21D.
well wishes. He appreciates
21A,
it.
I'm sorry, his
He
motion to
did.
advertise proposed ordinance.
He did
Roll
catch
call.
a rabbit in the
Council
backyard
Bergman?
Yes.
Council Calorio?
for
Yes.
one
Council
one
Hajier?
moment.
Yes.
Council King?
Before I
Yes.
yelled at him and he
Councilmember
dropped
Carlson?
it.
Council
And
Nian?
Yes.
it ran
Council
away.
Hada?
Yes.
Council Pasillo?
Yes.
Council
So
Russell?
pretty big day for him.
Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
That's a lot.
Yes, 21B, 21D is motion to accept. Those in favor, opposed, so ordered.
Oh, here we go.
22A is a Dane on a roll call. Roll call.
24.
There you go.
Oh, no.
Council Bergman? Council Calorio?
Yes.
Council Hajier?
Yes.
Council King?
Yes.
Council
23,
Carlson?
table under privilege.
Council Nian?
Yes.
These are our last
Ada?
3.
Yes.
Council Pasillo?
Yes.
Council Russell?
Yes.
Council Toomey?
Yes.
And Mayor Petty.
Yes. 23A is communication city manager, transmit information and communication relative to the city of Worcester's payment in lieu of tax agreements. And that was under the privilege, so we can send that to MO. Council
Chairman.
King.
Oh, boy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I look forward to this particular item going to committee. I would like to, I'm not sure if it's an amendment or what it is to the particular item or the report, but it should also be included and denoted the number of years that we are behind, or I'm sorry, that have elapsed since these pilot agreements were initiated. And so my
Puppy
question
party?
to the chair, to the administration is,
Party?
as relates, for example, to the WPI pilot.
We're gonna do that.
program
We'll have to figure
that
it
was
out because
initiated in
Roman's a
FY09,
little leash
expires in
reactive to other
FY34.
dogs.
Do we
So
know when that was last negotiated? Was it
we'll have to
negotiated
find
this year?
a fenced in
Do you
space.
know what that is, through the chair?
He'll be cool.
To the chairs of the council, I'm not aware of when it was last negotiated. I did made any additional amendments to include. I know that right now, everything is based on that pilot agreement. So anything that currently other PI adheres to is based on the current agreement as stands. We've had discussions with all of the institutions. I've had discussions with all the presidents related to their pilot agreements. And so that's something that I'm currently working on right now and to further in those discussions with them.
So through the chair to the administration, when I read this and it says initiated FY09, FY11, FY12, et cetera, I'm trying to understand if that means that's when it was last negotiated or when exactly was it, through the chair.
Mr. Manager.
To the chair, to the council, I don't have the direct answer. We can try to do some digging and research on our end to see if there was anything negotiated after 2009. But right now, from what it stands right now, these agreements land in 2009.
Through the chair to the administration, who's responsible for negotiating these? Is it who's the individual? What's the individual role? Is it who is it? Who negotiated this?
Through the chair to the council, the city manager negotiates that with all the presidents of the institutions.
So the manager negotiates them directly.
To the chair, that is correct.
Okay. And there's no documentation that we're aware of when it was last negotiated?
To the chair, to the council, I don't have any documentation right now. This is based on the information that we have on record of when last negotiated and signed contract agreements. There's some that's been negotiated with relates to a Holy Cross, and those are more newer. And so anything that's newer, we're trying to provide that information to you. But there's some that's outstanding, some have expired. We don't have a correct indication.
I have a tortoise
of when
named
was the
Danielle
last time some
DeVito.
of these were negotiated.
Dog's a lover.
Is there any additional light that Mr. McGurthy can shed on this?
I don't know if Danielle's ever made a stream appearance.
No.
Through the
Never
chair,
seen Danielle.
the city manager is
I would
correct.
love to
There's
see
been
Danielle.
No active renegotiation anytime recently.
Danielle
There have been
is
conversations
sleeping right
with
now,
various
I
schools, as
think,
the managers
but I can
pointed
go
out.
check.
The initiation is when these pilot agreements were put in place. That was when they were negotiated. That's when they were put in place. The question you have is whether, essentially, or question that you're raising is whether there were any amendments along the way that reflect essentially an additional negotiation or renegotiation. I can go and look to that to see how many are based on just the description of what the pilot does is based simply on kind of the base pilot, or if it's reflecting an amended version that occurred over time. But the short answer to your question is essentially these are the originally negotiated agreements back from those initiation dates with only minor amendments, if anything, along the way.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With that said, this report indicates that there's 7 active pilots composed of 4 agreements with colleges and universities and 3
We should
agreements with other
reestablish them so
nonprofit
that we
entities.
eat them.
I know Holy Cross was mentioned. They give a grand total of $80,000.
She mustn't be
it looks
disturbed.
like,
She's beauty rest.
to the city.
Beauty rest, yeah.
How old is Danielle DeVito?
Well, let's go take a look. Hold on.
I know it looks like that
If
was
I-
negotiated in
well,
2012.
it'll be fine. The
I'm not
stream
sure
will
if
stay
that's around the time the prior manager transitioned from Holy Cross to the city or not, but it's right around that time. And on the face of this, it appears as though there have not been pilot negotiations since fiscal 2009 in one instance, 15 years for Mass College of Pharmacy, since 2009, 15 years for WPI. On the face of this, since no one has any other additional information, fiscal 11, Clark University, 13 years. Now, mind you, this expires in 2031, but there's a lot that goes on in between from 2011 to 2024 in terms of colleges and universities and how they're building and what they're doing, and et cetera. And I certainly think that during these times, Mr. Chairman, where we're looking at deficits in some sections, we're looking at a tightened budget, that everyone needs to do their fair share. We had a fair share amendments asking folks who are better off to do more. We're asking for our residents to do more, our renters, our taxpayers, our homeowners.
All right.
It certainly makes
Here's
sense.
the
It's
grand
time.
unveiling of Danielle
It's time
DeVito.
for us to go on record and ask these folks to do more, Mr. Chairman.
Hold on, let me get a front-facing camera going here.
Fiscal 2012, 12 years ago. UMass is recently 2022. Kudos.
There she is.
Oh my God.
Sleeping in her little
Garden Park,
stone.
2023. Christopher
Don't want to
House,
disturb her, but I do need to fix our Willie Nelson chia pet.
UMass Medical.
She's always knocking it over.
11 years ago, 2013.
Yep. There's Willie.
UMass Foundation. 13
There's little
years ago.
Danielle in there, little Tookus. And then this terror.
And so the list goes
right
on.
Here.
And I'm
she
looking forward again. I know that Council Bergen
and this is Gus's God.
Operations has brought forward
right here
a number
this
of things in the past, and
treat machine,
other counselors as relates to this matter. And I think it's an opportunity.
Dispenses
to do some work, and I wanted to hold this. So
8 trees at a time, and if you go anywhere near it,
some of the answers I was looking
Gus
for.
will go crazy. She'll meow you. She'll try to get you over there, and then check this out. When you press the button,
they do good for us.
She's all over you.
The meds and eds, they do a good job with servicing our city. But we just need everybody
and boom,
to do a little bit more.
Out come the treats.
Everybody to do.
She wants nothing to do with you anymore.
And it's in that spirit that I look forward to this moving forward to municipal operations, if that's where the chair decides it goes. Thank you.
Nothing at all.
All those in favor, opposed, so ordered.
Bill, can we see Danielle one more time if I put you on the big screen?
Yeah.
Want to review the city clerk's performance and
All right,
goals
here
over
we
the
go.
last past
I'm
2
unlocking
years.
Danielle's
Recommend
cage.
Passage of the company proposed ordinance and adoption of the company
All
order.
right, sorry, Danielle. I hate to do this to you, but
And vote to advertise.
Mr. Chairman.
Council King.
Thank you.
You got to put on a show for the camera, baby.
So just for clarification through the chair, to the solicitor.
There's Danielle.
We did vote and approve
Wow.
our current
What a
city
beautiful baby.
for a 2-year
Perfect.
term. this particular calendar year. Is that right? We vote for
Nope.
a two-year
Tired.
term
She's tired.
till
She wants to go back to bed.
2024.
Yeah. Let's let her sleep again. That was amazing.
Mrs.
How old is
Solicitor?
she?
She's like 8.
Through the chair of the council, yes, that's correct.
I'm not really sure.
And through the chair to the clerk,
Hell yeah.
you know,
We
I
love
had
Danielle.
this. I had a number of
All right.
questions. One of which was as it relates
Amazing.
to a contract between the city and
That was
our city
That
clerk.
was the pet tour.
Through the chair to
That was really great.
solicitor, can
what
you
about
share
the
your
fish?
role in drafting
Got two
this particular contract?
Man.
Did you assist in drafting this? Was this provided to you?
Lock Danny
What
back.
was that like?
She'll be a rat.
Through the chair of the council, the terms were negotiated in the committee, and I took the term sheet.
Danielle
Oh,
for
you want
city
more?
Oh my God,
Thank you
Gus.
so much. Very much appreciated. That
Okay.
being said,
So we got
through the chair to the solicitor, is this
two
a
fish here.
inaugural?
That's
contract? Have
Moses.
we ever had a contract for
What-
the clerk?
Mo, Larry, and
registry
Curly, but
of
Larry
the
and
city
Curly
of Worcester through the chair.
Through the chair to the council. No, we
Shortly
don't
after
have a
coming back
contract
from
with city clerk
the pet
previously.
store.
And
In
through the
this, right,
chair, through the chair to the
is
solicitor.
Steven. Steven the beta fish. Named after the vibrator in the curse.
Issues have occurred contractually
Because
over the
that's
years
what we
in
were
your
watching.
experience and to your knowledge as relates to how we've conducted business over the last
yeah.
hundreds of years or whatever it is.
Which
through
is
the chair.
probably one of
Through
the
the chair
top,
of the council, I've only been
top
involved
10
in
bits from that
this
show, I'd say.
particular contract.
Hey, Gus,
First
see
person
what she does?
The previous time when he was originally
Trying to go up by
appointed
the
to
porch, you
clerk.
won't let me.
Prior to that, I had no involvement.
Thank you.
She's the boss, dude.
And through the chair to the administration, as it relates to pay
Am I
rates and
big button to
establishing
you?
all of that,
Is that all I am
the
to you?
chief financial officer adds that to the formula used for budgeting. Is that right, through the chair?
Mr. Manager.
Shay, we love to have you.
Through the chair to the council, yes, that is correct.
And through the chair to the administration.
Yeah,
what is the
thanks for hanging
total
out, Shay. That was great.
compensation, as of March 17, 2024,
Yeah.
for this particular position?
Killing it in the chat tonight. I don't think there's anybody left in the public chamber. It might be one person. What are you telling me to shut the fuck up for?
Through the chair, I apologize. I missed the question.
Yeah, I'm just the total compensation for this position as of March 17, 2024.
The city clerk?
Yes.
The city clerk has two elements to his compensation that I'm aware of. There's the base
Catching up on the
salary
comments.
and
Danielle is
a
a
stipend.
Russian tortoise.
The total compensation is about 209,000, I believe.
Well, she's canceled. She's
29,000.
complicit.
Okay. And Mr. Chairman, what is the
Putin,
stipend? It's about $20,000. And again, I saw for the record, I'd asked for a executive session to discuss this out of the presence. I'm not sure why the clerk hasn't recused himself, but out of the presence of the clerk, but that didn't happen. So we're going to do it here. So again,
Wow, Christian,
second
what the
element
fuck do you think you're doing criticizing
what
Nico?
is that?
Um,
Yeah,
you wanna fight?
What is that?
Yeah, do you want to be
Through the chair,
impeached?
And I may be incorrect. The clerk's indicating I might not be correct. My understanding is the clerk has about $190,000 annual compensation plus a stipend that goes along with kind of serving at city council meetings. Whoop.
Thank you. And
Whoa, he's making
moving
fucking
along,
200K?
as it relates to
Yeah, why would he want to be mayor?
the actual contract through the chair to the administration.
Oh, Fortnite. Every night
through the
over
chair to
here.
the administration. One of the
We
things
got real
that,
life Fortnite.
jumped out at me,
noises.
particularly given the fact that
I haven't played Fortnite in like 3 weeks. I gotta get back into it.
negotiations over the last 30 years as a
Katie's playing Fortnite
member
right now.
of my union as a regional vice president.
We're still
jealous.
daily
We finished
Fortniters.
up with negotiating with the state successfully on a contract, statewide contract.
I got out of
My
habit when I
question
went to
to
New
the
Orleans. Now I
administration
can't get back in.
is related to the language in this contract that indicates that during the term of this contract, to remove Mr. Vangeli from the office of city clerk by majority vote for a good cause. And the reason I bring that up is
Bellatra? I don't
we
know
as a
Bellatra.
body, Never
Oh,
had
I keep hearing about. Yeah, yeah. They were talking about it on. They talk about it on Get Played every week.
serve at the
It
will
looks
of the
amazing.
council.
Poker. Yeah.
And this is a departure from that.
That sounds interesting.
And I'm wondering through the chair.
I'm
to the
playing a lot of
administration,
Peglin.
as it
Peglin is
relates
super
to
fun. They have it
the
on
charter,
iOS
if you could
and
speak to,
Steam and all the other. It's like Peggle, but you fight
separation,
monsters.
as relates to the language in the charter through the chair. Mr. Solicitor, if you could speak to the language in the charter as it relates to separation. I was asking, as there's a provision here that indicates that uses the language good cause and removal or separation.
Baldur's Gate is
You could
great. We
speak
kind of
to the
dropped that when
language
we
in the
downloaded
charter
Fortnite. We were halfway through.
that
we
I
just
gotta,
got
I
to
gotta
Baldur's
get
Gate.
into Baldur's Gate.
possibility
I think we
if
should do a
this
Baldur's Gate
council so
stream.
chooses.
Start streaming that.
Through the chair, I didn't hear the whole
Yeah.
thing, just one clip.
It's super
Charter
fun.
Referencing. the
And it's like
removal of
silly
the city
too.
manager,
City clerk.
City clerk. There's nothing in the charter that talks about removal of the city clerk. Okay.
You're in your second 5 minutes.
Okay. If you could speak to language in the charter pertaining appointment or non-renewal or what have you in the charter.
Through the chair, the charter says that the council shall elect a city clerk for a term of 2 years.
Which we've done through the
Correct.
chair. And there's nothing in there that talks about separation for cause or no cause or just cause. There's nothing
Through
in
the
there.
chair, no, there's only reference of removal for the city manager, but not for the clerk and not for the city auditor.
Okay. So it does reference that for the city manager in the charter through the chair.
Through the chair, correct.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'm particularly concerned about the direction that we're going in, the precedent that's being set here. I'm concerned about the differentiation in language. I'm very happy that I voted to continue the term of our current clerk for another 2 years, as every single city clerk has been prior to this particular matter that's before us, Mr. Chairman. At a salary of $209,000 a year, that brings the clerk third, just under chief of police and chief of fire, above all cabinet positions in the city manager's office, which is more than fair. I think we've been more than fair with this particular position. And there's also an additional
Wait, I thought it was 190.
stipend of $4,000 here for
Yeah.
serving as the clerk of the city council. So
Jenny,
as such, Mr. Chairman,
Thank you to Tara, and thank you
I'm going to
for
stand by
joining us.
my
And
vote,
great call during public
to have the
comment.
clerk continue
Yeah.
to serve.
Thanks,
We
Annie.
continue to pay him as fairly as we have, Mr. Chairman. I do not support an additional contract. I already voted and complied with the charter for 2 additional years, Mr. Chairman. So as such, I'm opposed
Violent.
to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make some clarification. The actual base salary with the stipend in fullness in this new contract is $194,000 for the city clerk.
With the stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I just want to be clear. I think that's what was stated was 189. I think he stated plus what was referred to as a stipend, which would bring it to close to $209,000. That's my understanding.
This is very weird. This is happening.
I
in
I'm
looking at
public
actual
session.
compensation for the full year. And the city clerk's 2023 was 179,614 with a $3,966 stipend, the $4,000 stipend that the clerk mentioned. So the 17 was carried from 2019, 2020, I think. And
Shay,
it
thank you
may
so
have
much for
been a
joining us.
one-time
Thank
that
you
was
again
really-
for
Thank you,
your
Mr.
posts.
Chairman.
And again, we just want to
We gave
reiterate
this-
that we're
this,
behind you
clerk
and anything we
close
can
to a
do.
$40,000 or $50,000 raise just some months
We'd love to have
ago.
you back. Come hang out anytime.
So again, we've been more than fair, but this is a contract. I'm not disputing the amount. It is what it is. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Councilman Bergman.
It was an open meeting. I don't feel I need to defend the process. Any council is welcome to be there. And in fact, there was counselors that were a counselor at least, that was one counselor at least that was there that's not traditionally on the committee. So there was nothing done behind any sort of closed doors other than the executive session in which the contract itself was negotiated. My understanding was that a year or so ago, and I was not chair of the municipal
So
operations.
is this just some like
and the full
arcane drama
council
between King and
after
Bergman?
discussions with members of
Seems like it.
including MO, suggested to our clerk that we would consider giving him a contract. He asked for a contract. We suggested last year we'd consider giving him a contract, gave him a contract. There's nothing underhanded, suspicious, unusual about trying to accommodate somebody we value as an employee. As far as the salaries, we did our due diligence. We had a number of comparable cities our size looked at as far as what compensation they give their clerks. And quite frankly, our clerk does more than many of the clerks in the other communities we looked at and is getting paid either less or
we refuse to give them a staff
to what those other communities
Right.
are paying their clerk. And those communities, by and large, are larger than Worcester. So again, I think the terms are fair. I think we're accommodating Mr. Vangella's request for a contract. We told him a year or so ago that we'd consider giving him a contract. And quite frankly, I urge my colleagues to move forward and give him the contract he asked for. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So was he just didn't have a contract at one point? He was just getting paid out of contract?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mayor Petty.
Maybe we can just for clarification, Councilor Berman, but my impression is all we did was take everything he was receiving, benefits, package, prior to this contract. He got nothing extra in his contract. So it's been implied that we just gave you a big pay raise. And I don't think we gave you a big pay raise. I could be wrong. Is that correct? For clarification.
That's Mr. through the vice chair to the chairperson. That's correct. Whatever the increase in the salary was something that was promised to him. It's my understanding previously. So we gave him what he wanted that had already been promised to him, and we negotiated a term in the contract as far as reasons for removal. And I think the contract reflects exactly what Mr. Chairman, you suggested, that we gave him what we promised to give him previously, and we just put it in writing.
That's what I thought. So we put everything in writing that we've given him for his benefits. We probably just add a reasonable cause for dismissal section. That's how I read all this. So I just want to make very clear, we did not give a pay raise in this contract to the city clerk. Okay.
What the?
Okay.
Mr. Solicitor, would you like to speak?
Because I just want to be, I got the floor, and I just want to know, okay, the pay raise was part
They're
of
getting sloppy at the end here.
His package originally, correct?
Mr. Solicitor.
Through the chair to Mr. Mayor Petty. A year ago, there was a salary agreed upon with a $4,000 stipend. It said after the next election, on a favorable review, would go to $190,000 as a base salary, and plus the $4,000 stipend. So the new contract is a raise of some sort. I don't recall the exact base salary from a year ago. So there's some incremental on the base salary.
But we discussed this. And this is what
But it was discussed a year ago.
It was discussed a year ago. We met the requirements. We went back. We agreed to do that, and that's exactly what we did. And put it in writing.
Through the chair, yes.
Okay, that's what I want.
Like, I don't even want to understand what's going on.
Discussed before it was.
I just severely don't care. This feels like something that shouldn't be happening on the floor.
Correct.
Chairman, I just want to be
Mr.
clear.
Bergman for a third time.
I'm responding to a question, so I don't consider.
I didn't hear him ask you a question.
Okay, I'll sit down.
Yeah, fight.
Mr. Mayor?
Okay, we can play hardball too. Clarification. I want clarification.
Mr. Bergman.
Thank you. What the clerk got was what was promised to him. We could be semantical and say that he got an increase, but that increase was promised to him a year ago. So the contract documented what was promised to him. That did include an increase, but that had promised to him previously.
They're just having a little
So there was
fucking
nothing in that
fight
contract
about,
that he hadn't already been promised.
Rules.
And we just
All right,
documented
about as
it in
crazy
writing.
as one of these
But there's no
council meetings
mystery
is going to
here.
get.
Everybody was
It's
on
just a
this
pissing
council last
contest,
year.
but it's
When
amusing
we
to get
told
through.
Well,
them
I mean, it's
everybody's
only
happy
because
for
of the order that
salary will
Donna
go
put
up.
in
That's
earlier
exactly what
about
we did.
following the rules. So King
Exactly.
is like, I
Fuck
know the
right,
fucking
Brett.
rules better than you guys. So
Yeah, no, 100%. And King getting called out to being in his second five, not more than 15 minutes ago.
and then yes, they are talking about a different thing than he is saying. He's saying that in the charter they can't give him a contract, and they're saying we didn't give him a raise.
Move it. So the motion is to adopt the roll call and vote to advertise.
Council Bergman,
Yes.
Council Calorio,
Yes.
Council Agia,
Yes.
Council King,
No.
Councilmember Carlson,
Yes.
Council Nguyen,
Yes.
Council Ojeda,
Yes.
Well, I'm glad that
Priscilla,
Yes.
Council Russell,
Progressive Black is
Two.
entirely correct.
Yes.
and Mayor Petty.
Yes.
Just two in a
Motion to
towel,
reconsider, Mr. Mayor, so we
and
can
then
get
King
that out of the
doing
way.
his own thing. Jenny's being a mom.
So motion to reconsider?
Council Bergman,
No.
Louis
Council
Ojeda's
Calorio,
probably
No.
Council
Talk
Agia,
about it.
No.
Council King,
No.
Councilmember Carlson, Council Nguyen,
No.
Council Ojeda,
No.
Council Basillo,
No.
Council Russell,
No.
Council Toomey,
No.
and Mayor Petty.
All right, this
No.
should be the end.
Next is upon the communication,
Oh,
the city
no.
clerk recommend the amendment to the revised ordinance of the city of Worcester, Part 2, organization, city agencies, relative to the city's clerk office and the city council office recommend adoption of the company order. My understanding is this needs to go to the city manager for a recommendation back to the council. So is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. So motion is sent to the city manager. All those in favor? Opposed? So ordered. Okay. Not a bad night, really. 10 o'clock. So the motion is to adjourn. All set, everyone? Okay.
Oh boy.
We did it, everyone. We watched another hellacious meeting.
I almost forgot what those were like. What a night. It was fun. You know what? It was fun to see them be dysfunctional and mean
Yeah.
to each other and not know how to do anything. It was cool, actually.
Yeah, it was a very catty meeting.
Yeah, just a bunch of mean girls.
Yeah. Everyone was being super rude to each other. It fucking rocked. Big fan of it. I have no desire to keep talking about it though. Let's wrap it up here real quick. You guys are all incredible. Everyone in the chat tonight, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for the support. You guys are awesome. And you know, we're back at it. So make sure that you're subscribed to billshaner.substack.com, worcestersucks.email, follow at Worcester_sucks for all your most important updates about this
City we all love to hate.
Yeah, fuck this town. Follow us at Wooten Andy Comedy because we do shows, and we have a show coming up on Friday at Coney Island Hot Dogs at 8 p.m. We are doing Hot Dog. It's a wheel-based comedy show, and weird, crazy stuff happens at that show. And if you were there last 2 weeks ago,
It was
then you know it.
Honestly, the best.
It was insane. And it's gonna be
was so good.
So come on out. It's a free show. All we ask is you throw a few bucks in a bucket if you feel like it for the comedians, but you don't have to. You can just come hang out. May 31st at Off the Rails, the Sort of Late Show.
So excited.
We got reporter Matt from WBZ. You know him from TikTok. He does his cool videos. We got Alan from Woo Skates. Throw that back up there for a second because I want people to see that Jake McKelvey is playing music, and we maybe are doing a little debut of his new music video during the show. And Paul Henry, one of my favorite dudes in the entire world, incredible comedian. He's coming up from New York. He's our baby
Mr.
boy.
Bucket
we love
himself.
him. He's the bucket from Bucket of Premises at Hot Dog. So follow at Wooten Andy Comedy for more details on that. Follow us and subscribe to this channel.
Where is it?
WCT.
There it is.
3000 on Instagram. Subscribe to this channel at Wooten Any Comedy. Look, we love you guys, and we're getting back into the swing of things. We're going to be adding more stuff to the channel, and we're doing lots. So, throw a subscribe on there. Make sure that you come to No Jerks Network on Wednesday, May 29th at Wooden Bar, one of the coolest places in Worcester. If you haven't been, a lot of people haven't been to Wooden Bar.
I haven't been. Yeah, I gotta go.
It is the fucking best.
That's why we set it up there. Too many people are saying I've never been there, so Spencer and Chris are doing great things.
So cool! The food is honestly unbelievable,
unreal,
and it's just an amazing place.
So unreal.
Yeah. And get yourself a T-shirt. Last but not least, get yourself a T-shirt. A local 69 Commenters Union at wct3k.storeenvy.com for all of those. Join the Hazard Club. Wish you were so sexy so we can pay Camber some royalties. Look at that. They're great shirts. Honestly, they're great shirts. They're super comfortable. They look great. They came out. Check it out. Follow Nitty Council. Making baby blankets. Doing work. There's so much there, as depressing as this city is, there's so much cool stuff going on, like Nitty Council, like the WCU Local 69 Book Club.
That's
which,
right.
Bill, the next meeting is on
May 23rd, Thursday, May 23rd.
23rd.
6 p.m. coffee hour.
Hell yeah. Follow all our accounts for more details. We'll be putting up plenty of updates about that. But the first meeting was incredible. Next one's going to be even better. So join us, won't you? Join this little cult.
Yeah.
We love you guys. Thank you for hanging out. Again, sorry about all the filming in town. And we'll see you next Tuesday. We love you.
Bye.
Say goodnight, Roman. Say goodbye, buddy.